Chapter 33. Xian Long's expression changed. Just as he was about to retort, he had to admit that Wu Hunyuan was speaking the truth. If the Demon Hunters Association wanted to deal with Dragon Chan Island, it wouldn't be difficult at all. For a moment, he could only turn his gaze to the lady behind Wu Hunyuan. She was dressed in palace attire and exuded a dignified and elegant aura. Miss Nangong Yu, is your Ing Garden not going to do anything when my Divine Armament Tower is in trouble? Now that the Demon Hunters Association is here, where is Garden Master Nangong? The lady in palace attire, Nangong Yu, stepped forward and bowed slightly. Tower Master Xian, I'm here on behalf of my father to inform you that this is President Wu's personal grudge and has nothing to do with our Ing Garden. If Tower Master Xian cooperates with President Wu, he naturally won't do anything to your Divine Armament Tower. However, if you try to stop him, then you'll have to bear the consequences. Xian Long bellowed furiously. Your Ing Garden takes 20% of every transaction with my Divine Armament Tower. Now that the Divine Armament Tower is in trouble, this is your Ing Garden's attitude? Good, this is really very good. I've finally seen through your Ing Garden's face. Nangong Yu's pretty face carried a hint of coldness. Tower Master Xian, watch your words. Be careful that trouble comes from your mouth. Beside Nangong Yu, a youth with a feather fan and a silk headband shouted in dissatisfaction. How can you, Xian Long, tell us what to do? If you're dissatisfied with our Ing Garden, just move the Divine Armament Tower out of our Ing Garden. Do you think our Ing Garden cares? Miss Nangong Yu, young Master Nangong Ting, since this Divine Armament Tower refuses to be controlled, then today, our Demon Hunters Association will clean up the place for you. Xian Long dared to injure the captain of our Demon Hunters Association's first team, Xian Yu, and obstructed me from capturing the murderer of our Demon Hunters Association's members. He's clearly provoking our Demon Hunters Association. Today, I'll capture him alive, break his arms and legs, and bring him to Dragon Chan Island for compensation. Haha, I heard that Dragon Sword Island's Master Xian Jian is proficient in refining. It just so happens that my brothers lack ranked divine weapons. If Dragon Chan Island doesn't give us 8 or 10 ranked divine weapons as compensation, our Demon Hunters Association will not let this go. That's right, our brothers must each have a ranked divine weapon. With a ranked divine weapon, it will be much easier for us to kill those spirit beasts. We won't have to lose 1 or 2 brothers every year just to kill those spirit beasts. Wu Hunyuan's words immediately caused several blood transformation experts of the Demon Hunters Association to respond. Each of them had fused with a large amount of ferocious beasts and spirit beasts' blood essence. They looked extremely ferocious, and their battle prowess far surpassed that of ordinary experts who had undergone blood transfusions. Tower Lord Xian, I've given you a chance. You're on your own now. Although Nangong Yu felt that the people of the Demon Hunters Union were vulgar, the Demon Hunters Union was powerful. Even Ing Yuan could not afford to offend them, so she could only turn a blind eye. After she finished speaking, she glanced at Xing Hui, who was behind Xian Long, shook her head, and turned around to leave. Ing Yuan, Xian Long's face became very unsightly. Without the help of Ing Yuan and the others, how could the Divine Armament Tower block the Demon Hunters Association? President Wu, the grudge between you and Xing Hui has already been settled. Miss Mu and young Master Wu have personally acknowledged this. Why do you still have to be so overbearing? Seeing that Xian Long was helpless, Yu Shanshan hesitated for a moment before she finally gritted her teeth and stood up. If Xing Hui was really captured by Wu Hunyuan, he would be in a life-and-death situation. How would she explain it to Zhui Yunqing and Miss Nalan Fei? Wu Hunyuan tilted his head slightly, and his gaze fell on Yu Shanshan. When he saw that she had not even reached the blood transformation stage, he immediately sneered. Who do you think you are? Do you have the qualifications to speak here? Yu Shanshan's face suddenly flushed red, but she suppressed the humiliation in her heart and said, I am a disciple of the Hunyuan heavenly sect, the maid of Miss Nalan Fei, a true disciple of the 304 true disciples. I thought some great figure had come. A mate of a true disciple who is not even ranked in the top 100 dares to talk nonsense in front of me. Do you really think you could be considered a great figure just because you're a fox using the tiger's might? Slap your own mouth. Otherwise, you will die here today like Cho Tsing-hui. Wu Jinyuan sneered, as if he did not care about the Hunyuan heavenly sex true disciples at all. It seems that you really want to die? Before Yu Shanshan had time to speak again, Wu Jinyuan's eyes had completely turned cold and murderous. President Wu, when it's possible to let people off, one should spare them. Didn't Prince Tsing-hui reconcile with young Master Wu after learning of young Master Wu's identity? Why are you still so unforgiving? Xian Long said in a low voice. Reconcile? You want our Demon Hunters Union to compensate 500,000 gold in 3 days? Wu Ju stepped forward and said coldly. That's just a way out. Didn't Prince Tsing-hui not come to the Demon Hunters Union in the past 9 days? How can there be such an easy thing? Disaster comes from the mouth, and one has to pay the price. 9 days ago, our Demon Hunters Union paid the price and lost 3 blood transformation grandmasters. Even Captain Xian Yu's son died at his hands. Now it's time for him to pay the price for what he did 9 days ago. The Union of Demon Hunters is not an unreasonable force, Li Yao said. At this moment, Mu Zhenjin, who had come with Wu Ju, stood forward as well. She looked at Qing Su and said, since you want us to compensate you with 500,000 gold, we'll do the same to you. Moreover, our Union of Demons has lost 4 people. As the price, we'll sever your limbs. That's more than enough to show the benevolence of our Union of Demons. Hearing this, Wu Ju's eyes couldn't help but light up. Cutting off all 4 of Zhuo Qingshu's limbs and rendering him a cripple who could neither live nor die was obviously more intimidating than killing him with a single sword strike. Let's do as Zhenjin said. Do you want us to do it ourselves, or do you want to do it yourself? We'll be happy to do it for you. Wu Ju sneered. You're going too far, Yu Shanshan said angrily. So what if we're bullying you? Wu Ju arrogantly stepped forward and shouted wantonly. Pointing at Tsing-hui, he shouted, Cho Tsing-hui, stand out for me. Don't stand at the back like a coward. Didn't you ask me last time why I could humiliate you so righteously? Now I'll tell you, because we're strong enough. Our Demon Hunters Union can easily dictate your life and death. Your life is in our hands. If we tell you to kneel, you should kneel obediently. If we tell you to slap yourself, you should slap yourself. Even if we want you to die, you still dare to say half a word of no? Hearing such arrogant words, Yu Shanshan and Xian Long were furious and humiliated to the extreme. Even Nangong Yu and Nangong Ting's expressions were somewhat unnatural. On the other hand, Wu Jinyuan laughed wantonly and agreed. Ha, not bad, not bad. This is my son, Wu Jinyuan. This is the style of our Demon Hunters Union. In the world of dire beasts, the weak must unconditionally obey the strong. Humans are just fully evolved dire beasts. Naturally, they have to obey the laws of nature. Our Demon Hunters Union is far stronger than you. If I tell you to live, you'll live. If I tell you to die, you'll die. There's one thing I seem to have told you. At this time, Tsing-hui finally stepped forward. Passing by Yu Shanshan and Xian Long, he slowly said, between me and the Demon Hunters Union, the real powerhouse is not your Demon Hunters Union, but me. Prince Tsing-hui, you okay? You can leave. Tsing-hui waved his hand and interrupted Xian Long's words of persuasion. His gaze passed Wu Ju and Mu Zhenjin and fell directly on the leader of the Demon Hunters Union, Wu Jinyuan. Appraisal. Wu Jinyuan. Cultivation Realm. Awakening Realm. Attack Level 13. Defense Level 14. Speed Level 12. Spirit Level 13. Chapter 34. Mu Zhenjin looked at the approaching Tsing-hui and shook her head regretfully. If you knew this would happen, you wouldn't have done it. 9 days ago, you would have just kowtowed and apologized, and everything would have been fine. It's a pity that there's no medicine for regret in this world. You're finally willing to come out. I thought you were going to hide behind someone else for the rest of your life. Wu Ju, on the other hand, couldn't stop laughing. He had been waiting for this moment for the past 9 days, and now he was finally about to get what he wanted. He would soon be able to personally see the man who had brought him great humiliation 9 days ago, wagging his tail and kowtowing before him. "Jura, watch out!" Before Wu Ju could finish his wanton laughter, Wu Jinyuan's shock shout came from behind him. The next moment, a sharp light that could pierce through his body and soul came tearing at him, carrying an aura like the blazing sun. It seemed to want to grind him into ashes from the inside out. Sing Hui had made his move. He stepped forward, drew his sword, and unsheathed it. The tip of his sword was pointed at Wu Ju, who was laughing the most wildly at the front. Whoosh! The sword light broke through the air, carrying with it a brilliant aura that completely filled everyone's vision. "Kid, die for me!" Roaring thunder strike. Sing Hui made his move, and Wu Jinyuan followed closely behind. Roar! A soul-shaking roar mixed with a monstrous aura erupted from Wu Jinyuan's body. Wu Jinyuan, who had awakened the bloodline of the spiritual beast Thunder Tiger, seemed to have transformed into a terrifying spiritual beast that could shake the forest and sweep away thunder and lightning. He punched out with a thunderous boom, fiercely colliding with Sing Hui's lightning-fast sword. The air around the fist exploded, forming a circle of ripples visible to the naked eye. Bang! The tip of the refined edge sword collided with Wu Jinyuan's equally sturdy gloves. For a moment, a violent hurricane erupted from the center of the collision, tearing in all directions. Sing Hui, who had stabbed out with his sword, was hit by the power contained in Wu Jinyuan's strike. His bones crackled as he flew back. After landing on the ground, he couldn't help but take 6 steps back. Every step he took shook the entire courtyard, causing the tiles of the divine armament building to buzz. Chot Sing Hui, Prince Sing Hui, seeing Sing Hui, who had launched a sneak attack on them, being sent flying by Wu Jinyuan's fist, Yu Shanshan and Xian Long's hearts suddenly went cold. Sure enough, the awakening realm was powerful. Even a monster like Sing Hui, who regarded master-level powerhouses as nothing, was no match for him. "Good. Father is mighty. How dare you sneak attack me? Beat this little bastard to death. Guild leader is invincible, as expected of someone who has awakened the bloodline of the Thunder Tiger." Even ordinary awakening realm powerhouse wouldn't dare to take this punch. Wu Ju, Xin Yu, and the rest of the Demon Hunters Union couldn't help but shout in excitement. However, the excitement on their faces did not last for long. What happened next made their smiles freeze on their faces. Cracks appeared on Wu Jinyuan's glove, which was at the level of medium grade 1, and dark red blood flowed out from the cracks. Drops of blood dripped to the ground and quickly dyed the ground red. Wu Jinyuan, who was confronting Sing Hui, was shocked. "You buzz." Retreating 6 steps, Sing Hui's body shook slightly. A tiger's roar and a dragon's roar came from his body. Most of the power that had penetrated his body was directed to the ground. Coupled with the majestic vitality brought by the second-order recovery, he was able to completely recover in less than 2 breaths. His body shook, and he once again stabbed at Wu Jinyuan at full speed. Whoosh! The sword vibrated and tore through the void. As Sing Hui's sword flew forward, the air was like a wave that was split apart, scattering to both sides. Swordsmanship. Meteor. Seeing Sing Hui's swordsmanship closely follow, Wu Jinyuan did not have time to think about how a blood transformation expert could have such a cultivation base. He immediately roared again, and the blood chi in his body was completely mobilized. The terrifying fiendish aura of the lightning tiger was condensed to the extreme and poured into his fist. He brazenly met Sing Hui's sword. His figure moved, and he was like a real spirit beast that pounced forward. One man and one sword collided once again. Bang! Fist and sword collided, and fist energy and sharp chi crazily burst out in all directions. A terrifying rebound force blasted the 2 people's bodies, fiercely shaking them at the same time. Wu Jinyuan's fist energy exploded into Sing Hui's body, and at the same time, Tsing Hui's sword chi also pierced his body, causing him to feel as if a sharp sword was constantly shuttling through his blood vessels and muscles. But Wu Hunyuan, who had experienced hundreds of battles, would not let this trivial pain affect his strength. His 14th rank defense and tempered willpower allowed him to fiercely suppress the pain in his body, and a new round of punches erupted from his body. Tiger roar thunder. Rumble. Following his punch, it was as if thunder had exploded in the center of the courtyard, shaking some of the weaker people present. With him as the center, the floor in a 3-meter radius was instantly shattered into pieces. In the time it took to shake and strike, his punch had already broken through the blockade of Tsing Hui's divine sword and arrived in front of Tsing Hui with the power of a thunderbolt, not giving him the slightest chance to withdraw his sword to defend himself. If Tsing Hui hadn't undergone his third awakening 9 days ago and hadn't cultivated the rock unhindered technique, he wouldn't have been able to avoid this punch. But at this moment, with the strength that broke the limits of the human body and the imitation of the rock unhindered technique, he was able to twist his body and dodge most of the punch. But even so, the terrifying force contained in this punch still blasted Tsing Hui's shoulder. This punch was like a cannonball explosion, instantly tearing the clothes on his shoulder to shreds, and the sound of bones breaking lightly resounded in all directions. It was as if his entire arm had been shattered by this punch. Die! Wu Zhenyan, who had gained the upper hand, roared again and used some kind of mysterious sound attack technique, causing his voice to be like a thunderclap, causing everyone to feel dizzy and eardrums to hurt. During this period of time, he charged over viciously once again and threw a punch. With the brutality of his fearlessness, it enveloped Qing Su viciously. This is the end. Dragon, Tiger, Hegemony. Fearless of death. This was the biggest impact of the battle between Tsing Hui and Wu Zhenyuan. Wu Zhenyuan had been fighting vicious beasts and spirit beasts all year round, so the combat skills and fist techniques he cultivated were filled with fearless savagery. Every punch and every strike strived to maximize the damage and kill the opponent. As long as he paid a certain amount of injury in exchange for the greatest result, he didn't care about getting injured at all. Because he wasn't familiar with his fighting style, when the two collided, Tsing Hui was actually suppressed. However, that was just now, fearless of death. Between him and Wu Zhenyuan, the one who had the qualifications to be fearless of death wasn't Wu Zhenyuan, but Tsing Hui. His second stage recovery allowed him to have a unique advantage when it came to exchanging injuries for injuries. This could be seen from his battle with Yuan Yang. His fourth-stage comprehension allowed him to be far more sensitive to battle situations than before. After realizing the characteristics of Wu Zhenyuan's tactics, Tsing Hui's eyes suddenly became incomparably fierce. Seeing Wu Zhenyuan rush forward again like a fierce tiger pouncing down the mountain, he no longer dodged. Instead, he changed the fingers of his left hand into a fist and brazenly met Wu Zhenyuan's thunderous strike. Bang! A terrifying collision broke out between the two once again. Fist against fist. Flesh against flesh. One awakened the thunder tiger bloodline, as if there was a spirit tiger hidden in his body. The other broke his own limit 3 times in a row, reaching the third stage of liberation, far surpassing ordinary people. When the two collided head-on, a deafening clap of thunder seemed to ring out in the courtyard. The airflow in the void was compressed at a speed visible to the naked eye. When it reached a critical point, it exploded and turned into a hurricane that swept in all directions. A huge pit was formed in the ground, tearing the courtyard outside the Divine Armament Tower into pieces. A new week has begun. Last week, we stopped at the 12th place. This time, let's rush into the top 10 and even the top 3. Chapter 35. Prince Tsing Hui has such strength. Looking at Tsing Hui, who was facing Wu Zhenyuan, Xian Long couldn't help but step forward in shock, unwilling to miss any details of their confrontation. That's an awakening realm expert who has awakened a spirit beast bloodline. It's not a dire beast bloodline, but a spirit beast bloodline that's even more tyrannical than a dire beast bloodline. Yu Shanshan's eyes widened. Not only them, Wu Ju, Mu Zhenjin, Xianyu, the many blood transformation realm experts of the Demon Hunters Union, and even Nangong Yu and Nangong Ting, the son and daughter of Hunyuan's master, were all dumbfounded. They originally thought that with Wu Zhenyuan personally taking action, even if Cho Tsing Hui's swordsmanship was superb and could treat blood transformation realm experts as nothing, he would not be able to escape the fate of being killed on the spot. But now, when the two really fought, they found that Cho Tsing Hui's strength was not inferior to Wu Zhenyuan's by much. He, a blood transformation realm grandmaster, was actually able to fight Wu Zhenyuan, an awakening realm expert of the longevity realm. He was completely weaker than any awakening realm expert. Impossible. This is impossible. My father must not have used his full strength. The one who will win will definitely be my father. Wu Ju growled, his eyes bloodshot. Mu Zhenjin, Xianyu, and many blood transformation realm experts of the Demon Hunters Union looked solemn as they stared unblinkingly at the two sides in the battle. The battle that could have been said to be a one-sided battle had actually undergone a sudden turn of events, and the final outcome had already become confusing. Crack! The terrifying force contained in the Dragon-Tiger battle for hegemony slammed down and penetrated Tsing Hui's body, shaking his internal organs and causing them to bleed. Puffed. Tsing Hui spat out a mouthful of blood. If it were a moment ago, he would have retreated to draw the force into the ground to reduce the damage to himself. But the short confrontation just now had allowed him to see through Wu Zhenyuan's fighting style. Like a tiger in a spurt of energy. The Tiger of Thunder was the most powerful, unstoppable. This was an awakening realm expert. This was a true expert who could test his own limits. If he retreated, not only would he not be able to push himself to his limits, but Wu Zhenyuan's momentum would also become stronger and stronger, and the final blow would be enough to crush him into dust. Once he was able to stop Wu Zhenyuan's accumulating momentum, he would be able to weaken Wu Zhenyuan's attack. At that time, his counterattack would be twice the result with half the effort, and he would be able to reverse the situation. Tsing Hui eases his momentum. Buzz. His entire body groaned, as if he couldn't bear the burden. However, just as his body was groaning in pain, a clear stream of energy surged out of his body and dissolved the pain. It allowed him to withstand the recoil of Wu Zhenyuan's attack. After resisting the force that could almost destroy his body, a brand new force was stimulated by the Dongyang Sword Codex's method of stimulating potential. The sword light of the sharpened sword swept out and shrouded Wu Zhenyuan with brilliant sword intent. Scram! Wu Zhenyuan roared. His aura, which had been slightly weakened after being blocked by Tsing Hui, once again rose. Even in the face of Tsing Hui's sword, he did not dodge. Instead, a surge of blood and chi surged out of his body and fiercely collided with Tsing Hui's sword. Boom! Sword light vibrated. The horizontal slash of the sword was blown away by this punch. However, Tsing Hui had already anticipated that his sword would face a thunderous strike. In fact, he didn't use much strength in this strike. On the contrary, he used Wu Zhenyuan's thunderous strike to unleash his true strength. The moment the sword was struck, it spun 360 degrees like a whirlwind and slashed down at a speed far faster than before, ruthlessly chopping at Wu Zhenyuan's body. A single slash had double the power. Not good. Such swordsmanship caught Wu Zhenyuan off guard. He had no choice but to let out a low roar and explode with chi and blood. The floor beneath his feet shattered as he retreated. Once he retreated, his aura dissipated. Rip! The 360-degree slash of the sword tore a huge hole in Wu Zhenyuan's chest. Crimson blood spurted out along with the sword's sharpness. Buzz! Before the slash of the sword had exhausted its strength, Tsing Hui had already controlled it to fiercely shake and stabilize it. Wu Zhenyuan, who was retreating, did not have time to launch a new round of attacks. The meteor-like sword had already pierced his body, causing blood to spurt out. Wu Zhenyuan roared. His right hand tightly gripped the blade of the refined edge sword that had pierced into his body. The friction between the glove and the blade caused dazzling sparks to burst out. "Get out of here!" A terrifying force erupted from his body like a volcano soaring into the sky. The refined edge sword that had pierced into his body and had yet to pierce through him was brazenly pulled out by Wu Jinyuan's roar. Vibrate the sword. It was impossible. Sing Hui's eyes lit up. The moment the refined edge sword was pulled out by Wu Jinyuan's qi and blood, it had already begun to shake violently. In an instant, the glove that Wu Jinyuan was using to hold the refined edge sword cracked open again, causing crimson blood to spurt out continuously. "Break for me!" Wu Jinyuan's anger soared as he roared. His ferocious and terrifying aura was displayed to the extreme. Seeing that the glove was about to be shattered by Sing Hui's refined edge sword, Wu Jinyuan actually poured all the strength in his body into the right hand that was holding the refined edge sword tightly, and then exploded with all his strength. Bang! The first level mid-grade glove exploded. Then it exploded, and the first level low-grade refined edge sword. The sword broke. "Oh no! Oh my God!" Yu Shanshan, Exine Long, and everyone else could not help but cry out when they saw how vicious Wu Jinyuan was, going as far as to trade a mid-grade gauntlet for a Green Ruins low-grade divine artifact to take him down with himself. A swordsman's sword broke. What did this mean? It meant buzz buzz. Sing Hui's eyes lit up. The refined edge sword was broken in the hearts of Wu Jinyuan, Exine Long, Yu Shanshan, and everyone in the Demon Hunters Union, but in Sing Hui's eyes, it would never break. The iron sword could break, but the sword of the spirit would never break. Die! In the next moment, the broken refined edge sword shot out a brilliant sword intent and actually burned the blood and qi in Wu Jinyuan's right hand that was holding the sword into ashes. Without the blood and qi to suppress his body, his right hand was instantly minced into a bloody pulp by the sharpness of the refined edge sword. Then, the brilliant sword intent carried the broken sword into Wu Jinyuan's body, penetrating all the way to the hilt. Wu Jinyuan's eyes widened. The refined edge sword was broken, and the door to victory was open for him. But in the end, looking at the refined edge sword that pierced into his body and into the hilt, time seemed to have frozen. Everyone was stunned as they looked at Wu Jinyuan, who was penetrated by the sword. For a moment, no one could react. Even Nangong Yu and Nangong Ting, who were supposed to be outsiders, felt their hearts tighten. Lose? The Demon Hunters Union was going to lose. Get lost! The spectators were stunned by the tragic battle in front of them, but the experienced Wu Jinyuan was still unwilling to admit defeat. He roared and punched Sing Hui's chest with his left hand, breaking Sing Hui's ribs and sending him flying like a cannonball. But at the same time, Sing Hui's body flew out, his right foot followed up with a fierce kick, and the place he kicked was the hilt of the refined edge sword. Bang! Chi! Sing Hui heavily smashed into a pillar of the divine armament building, breaking the pillar and shattering the bones. And the half of the refined edge sword that pierced into Wu Jinyuan's body was shot out by Sing Hui's final kick, creating a bloody hole in Wu Jinyuan's body. With a dark red light, the sword fiercely shot into the beam of the outer courtyard's gate, where chips flew all over, and the sword hilt was buried. Chapter 36. Father, President. Sing Hui, seeing the two of them fly out at the same time, the Demon Hunters Association and the Divine Armament Tower quickly rushed up. Among them, the Demon Hunters Association was the first to support Wu Jinyuan, while Exine Long, Yu Shanshan, Qing Hong, and the others quickly rushed at Sing Hui's side. Knowing that Sing Hui had the regeneration pill, Exine Long immediately took out the bottle and gave it to him. Father, Wu Ju stared at the bloody hole in Wu Jinyuan's chest. His eyes were filled with terror. This kind of injury, even an awakening realm expert would die without a doubt. Why is it like this? Why is it like this? Mu Jinjin looked at the dying Wu Jinyuan, her face filled with pain. At this moment, she finally had a trace of regret in her heart. She regretted not stopping Wu Ju and Wu Hunyuan from taking revenge on Cho Tsinghui. Otherwise, this scene would not have happened. Go, go. Wu Hunyuan struggled to speak to Wu Ju with his last bit of strength. Defeated. He was defeated. He would die without a doubt. Once Cho Tsinghui recovered, an awakening realm expert would bring a devastating blow to them. No, I won't go. Wu Ju cried out in pain. Then, as if thinking of something, he suddenly stood up, pointed in the direction of Tsinghui, and shouted to the many blood-changing realm experts of the Demon Hunters Association. Kill him! Kill him! He is now an arrow at the end of its flight. Kill him and avenge the president. Xian Yu was the first to react, immediately echoing loudly. Kill him! Take revenge for the president. No one can bully the Demon Hunters Association. Anyone who dares to bully the Demon Hunters Association must die. Kill. The rest of the blood-changing realm experts reacted one after another. They were furious, and one by one, they released their blood chi and rushed towards Tsinghui. Not good. When Xian Long saw dozens of blood transformation experts swarming over, his face immediately turned deathly pale. Miss you. Qinghong, you guys take Prince Tsinghui and leave quickly. I'll delay them for as long as I can. Manor Lord Xian. Although Yu Shan didn't know why Xian Long was willing to risk his life to save Tsinghui, her mission was to protect Tsinghui first. Thus, she nodded heavily. Tower Master Xian, take care. Let's go. No need. At this time, Tsinghui, who had just swallowed a regeneration pill, opened his eyes. He swept his gaze over the dozens of blood transformation martial scholars who had quickly surrounded him. There wasn't the slightest bit of panic in his eyes. They're just chickens and pottery dogs. Since they still don't want to give up, I'll make them completely despair. Prince Tsinghui, Xian Long wanted to say something, but Tsinghui had already stood up. Even though the injuries on his body were also extremely serious, the Stage 2 recovery pill and the medicinal effects of the regeneration pill allowed him to already have the strength to fight. Furthermore, divine art. As Tsinghui connected with the interface of the Son of Chaos, a brand new energy suddenly appeared in his body. In an instant, it filled his severely injured limbs and bones. Not only did this energy cause his strength to skyrocket, it also had a localized restorative effect, causing his originally heavily injured body to heal even faster than before. Do you think you can kill me like this? Tsinghui looked at the martial scholar experts surrounding him and stretched out his hand. Sword. Xian Long didn't hesitate to hand over the ranked divine weapon in his hand to Tsinghui. In the next moment, Tsinghui's figure flew up and faced the dozens of blood transformation martial scholars from the Demon Hunters Association. Like a stream of light, he charged into them, Xiao. The sword light pierced through the air. The blood transformation martial scholar, who bore the brunt of the attack, didn't even have time to see the shadow of Tsinghui's sword before the sharp edge of the sword cut through his throat. Dark red blood splattered across the sky, opening the prelude to this one-sided slaughter. Xiao. With a flash of sword light, the head of the second martial scholar expert flew high into the air. Even in death, he was still in disbelief. One sword, one person, one sword, one person. Tsinghui's figure constantly shuttled back and forth under the siege of dozens of blood transformation martial scholars. The trajectory of the sword was like an antelope's horn, completely natural. Dozens of martial scholar experts swarmed forward, but not a single one of them was able to block his sword. As long as he charged forward, there would inevitably be a storm of blood. This kind of exquisite swordsmanship, as fast as lightning, far exceeded the reaction and attack of blood transformation martial scholars. It completely crushed ordinary blood transformation martial scholars. At this moment, Tsinghui's methods were even more terrifying than when he fought Wu Hunyuan. It was as if the battle with Wu Hunyuan was just a warm-up, and he hadn't gone all out. 3, 4, 6, 10, 15, in less than 10 breaths. More than half of the 40 blood transformation martial scholars of the Demon Hunters Guild had fallen. seeing the blood transformation martial scholars being easily slaughtered by Tsing Hui as if they were vegetables, Wu Ju, Mu Zhenjin, Xian Yu, and the others, who originally wanted to take advantage of Tsing Hui and Wu Zhenyuan's mutual injuries to kill them, suddenly felt a chill run down their spines. Despair. This was a kind of strength that made one despair. Just like the Luo Shui gang in the past, there were a total of 48 blood transformation martial scholars. They were awe-inspiring, but a single longevity martial scholar killed his way into their headquarters and wiped out all 48 blood transformation martial scholars. At this moment, the blood transformation martial scholars of the Demon Hunters Guild deeply felt the despair and suffocation of the Luo Shui gang. Run! Run! Wu Zhenyuan, who hadn't completely breathed his last, looked at the many experts of the Demon Hunters Guild who were completely slaughtered and spat out 3 words with difficulty. These 3 words completely woke up the dumbfounded Wu Ju, Mu Zhenjin, Xian Yu, and the others. Run! Run! In the face of an awakening martial scholar who still had combat power, the only thing they had to do was to run for their lives. The faster the better. At this time, everyone thought of the words Tsing Hui said at the beginning. Between the Demon Hunters Guild and me, the real expert is not your Demon Hunters Guild, but me. At that time, they had sneered at this sentence, thinking that it was just Tsing Hui's arrogant words that did not know the immensity of heaven and earth. But now, they truly understood that everything Tsing Hui said was not false at all. It was just that they had been blinded by the false strength of the Demon Hunters Guild over the years, so they could not judge the situation clearly. When faced with a real top expert, they were directly defeated by the other party with a crushing force. Only then did they suddenly wake up. Woke up, but it was too late. Whoosh! Relying on his strength, Xian Yu took the lead to rush out. Before he could step out of the gate of the outer courtyard of the Divine Armament Building, a fierce aura had already completely enveloped him. He only had time to see a sword light coming at him from the corner of his eyes, and then he felt something strange in his throat. The next moment, dark red blood spurted out from the vital part of his throat. Ugh! Xian Yu covered the vital part of his throat, as if he wanted to stop the blood from flowing out of his throat. Unfortunately, how could his hands stop the blood from flowing out? In the end, his whole body was completely swallowed by darkness and coldness. Did I say you could go? At the same time, Tsing Hui's figure appeared at the gate of the outer courtyard, stopping Mu Zhenjin, Wu Ju, and the others who were planning to escape. At this time, only a dozen of the 40 or so blood transformation realm experts of the Demon Hunters Guild had been killed. The remaining dozen or so were all scared out of their wits. Their faces were filled with panic, and their hands and feet were slightly trembling. They did not dare to act rashly anymore. Looking at the dozen or so blood transformation realm experts of the Demon Hunters Guild behind them, and then looking at Tsing Hui in front of them, who seemed to be in a better and better state, Wu Ju and Mu Zhenjin finally fell to the ground in despair, their legs weak and their faces pale. Defeated. The Demon Hunters Guild of the Lorraine Kingdom was completely defeated by one person with one sword. A crushing defeat. Chapter 37. Are you satisfied with this result? Tsing Hui stood at the door and glanced at the corpses in the courtyard. His gaze then swept over Wu Zhenyuan, Wu Ju, Mu Zhenjin, and the dozen or so surviving grandmasters of blood transformation. Wu Zhenyuan's eyes were full of regret. If they had known that Tsing Hui had such strength, they wouldn't have dared to come to the Divine Armament Building to denounce him and bring disaster to the Demon Hunters Union. But now it was too late. The strong are respected. I have nothing to say. I only hope. Chi. Tsing Hui's figure flashed, and his sword pierced through Wu Zhenyuan's throat. If you have nothing to say, then don't say it. Wu Zhenyuan's eyes widened. The words he was about to say were suddenly stuck in his throat, and he couldn't spit out half a word. In the end, he breathed his last. Father! Wu Ju let out a sorrowful roar. The pillar in his spiritual world suddenly collapsed, and an unprecedented fear filled his soul. Dead. His father. The president of the Demon Hunters Union, Hunyuan, was dead. Without Hunyuan and his identity as the son of the president of the Demon Hunters Union, what was Wuju worth? Chi. Xinghui pulled out the sharp sword from Hunyuan's throat and looked at the others. At this moment, the Grandmasters of Blood Transformation and Viscera Refinement elites of the Demon Hunters Union were all silent. Where's the arrogance they had before? Even the two siblings, Nangong Yu and Nangong Ting, felt their hands and feet go cold. They stood still and didn't dare to move for fear of angering this fierce god in front of them and bringing disaster to Hunyuan. Hunyuan, he was a terrifying existence who had awakened the bloodline of a spiritual beast. Even their father, Master Hunyuan, wasn't sure he could defeat him. Now, such a big shot who was on an equal footing with their father was killed by Xinghui with a single sword strike. This scene shocked the two of them so much that they almost turned around and fled. Mu Jinjin noticed Xinghui's gaze and couldn't help but shiver. She opened her mouth but didn't know what to say. After a while, she said with difficulty, "Prince Xinghui, my father is the president of the Demon Hunters Union of the Sacred Ocean Kingdom. I can't kill you?" Xinghui's gaze fell on Mu Jinjin. The Saint Sea Kingdom was a neighbor of the Lorraine Kingdom. It was also one of the 24 countries under the Hunyuan Heaven Sect. It was slightly stronger than the Lorraine Kingdom, but not by much. No. Mu Jinjin's face was filled with fear and humiliation. She lowered her head, not daring to meet Xinghui's eyes. "I hope that Prince Xinghui will give me a chance for my father's sake. Give me a chance to redeem myself. I am willing to pay 500,000 gold to beg Prince Xinghui for forgiveness. I am also willing to take out money to atone for my sins." Wu Ju, who was standing at the side, trembled as he spoke. "There's nothing wrong with what you did to protect your sister's face. However, how cruel is this kind of indiscriminate killing? Before the war, Xian Long once said that where it's possible to spare people, one should spare them. All of you disdain these words. Then, at this very moment, what qualifications do all of you have to ask for forgiveness in front of me?" As soon as Xinghui finished speaking, Wu Ju and Mu Jinjin's faces turned ghastly pale. Mu Jinjin's throat was directly pierced through by a sharp sword. Blood spurted onto Wu Ju's face, causing him to immediately cry out in fear. "Don't kill me. I beg you, don't kill me." Wu Ju no longer cared about his image as he begged miserably. "You're very lucky," Qing Su said. "It's because of you that I truly understand the laws of survival in this world. As a result, I'll give you 1,000,000 gold coins and sever an arm, and you can live. Compare to me being defeated and falling into your hands. Your fate is already many times better." I understand." Wu Ju's eyes were filled with joy, as if he had just escaped death. The next moment, he clenched his teeth and fiercely pointed at his left hand. Crack! Accompanied by the sound of bones shattering, his left hand drooped down. His face was drenched in sweat from the pain. "We will definitely deliver it to you on time, within 3 days. Don't do the same thing thrice. I hope you won't make the same mistake a third time. We won't. We won't dare to do it again. Everyone, break one of your arms." Xinghui once again glanced at the other members of the Demon Hunters Union and said indifferently. For a moment, from the blood-changing grandmasters to the viscera refining experts, all revealed bitter expressions, but no one dared to disobey. The 30 or so corpses of grandmasters in the courtyard were the fate of those who disobeyed. In less than a breath's time, the sound of bones shattering could be heard incessantly, echoing outside the building. Looking at these arrogant and domineering elites of the Demon Hunters Guild who had just arrived, one by one, being forced to cut off their arms in order to survive, Xian Long and Yu Shanshan immediately felt proud and elated. One by one, they stood up straight and stared at the miserable crowd. Just a moment ago, these elites of the Demon Hunters Union were still pointing fingers in front of them. But now, President Wu Jinyan, First Captain Xianyu, and the daughter of the president of the Demon Hunters Union of the Holy Ocean Kingdom, Mu Jinjin, were dead. Only 11 of the blood-changing grandmasters who had killed their way into the Divine Armament Tower were still alive. How awe-inspiring and domineering was this person to beat the Demon Hunters Union of the Lorraine Kingdom into submission. For the first time, Xian Long felt that following such a master was not a bad thing. The strong were respected. Prince Xinghui is actually so tyrannical. He's only at the blood-changing realm. I wonder what kind of opportunity he had. Yu Shanshan muttered to herself as she watched Chou Xinghui subdue a Demon Hunters Union branch by himself. She only felt that this Prince Xinghui was full of mysteries. Thinking back to her previous indifferent attitude towards Xinghui, her heart was suddenly filled with worry. Prince Xinghui was so outstanding. Once he entered the Hunyuan Heaven sect, he would definitely become the left and right arms of the young Mississippi. At that time, if he was dissatisfied with her performance these days, her days would be very difficult. When Nan Gongyu and Nan Gongting saw the people from the Demon Hunters Union leave one after another, the two of them suddenly felt uneasy. After hesitating for a while, Nan Gongyu stepped forward and carefully bowed to Xinghui. Prince Xinghui, our Hunyuan had no choice but to make such a decision. The Demon Hunters Union is very powerful, and my father is not an Hunyuan. Us juniors simply do not dare to disobey. Xinghui ignored Nan Gongyu, who was carefully apologizing. He turned to Xian Long and said, "How much profit has the Divine Armament building turned over to Hunyuan over the years?" Xian Long seemed to know what Xinghui wanted to do. He sneered, "No less than 1 million gold. Since Hunyuan is unable to fulfill her obligations, then spit out all the profits you took from Hunyuan. 1 million gold, not a single gold less. If you can't make the decision, then go ask your father, the owner of Hunyuan. Or you can try. Hunyuan can't afford to offend the Demon Hunters Union branch in the Lorraine Kingdom. But can they afford to offend me? 1 million gold." A trace of anger appeared on Nan Gongting's face. Just as he was about to say something, he was pulled back by Nan Gongyu. "Prince Xinghui must be joking. Prince Xinghui is a peerless figure who single-handedly suppressed the Demon Hunters Union in the Lorraine Kingdom. How can our Hunyuan dare to offend you? 1 million gold. I'll go prepare it now. Prince Xinghui, please give us some time." 3 days. Yes. Nan Gongyu responded and bowed gracefully. "We'll raise the money immediately. We'll take our leave first." After speaking, she hurriedly pulled the indignant Nan Gongting out of the Divine Armament Building's outer courtyard. "Prince Xinghui, you gave them 3 days, but Senior Sister Rant's flying boat will arrive in the afternoon. At that time, you'll have to go to the Hunyuan Heaven sect. How will you collect the debt?" Yu Shanshan hesitated. "When did I say I was going to the Hunyuan Heaven sect? You're not going to the Hunyuan Heaven sect." Yu Shanshan was slightly taken aback. "But Miss Zhui Yunqing and Miss Nailin Fei are both in the Hunyuan Heaven sect." Prince Xinghui already has such a rich accumulation in the blood transformation stage. Once he goes to the Hunyuan Heaven sect, he only needs to consolidate for a few days and pass the Hunyuan Heaven sect assessment. He will immediately be bestowed with a top true art. If he makes contributions, he will even be bestowed with a saint technique. At that time, he will awaken his bloodline and step into the immortal stage. Nailin Fei is only a true disciple and doesn't occupy a peak. The resources in her hands are limited. In addition, she needs to cultivate. Cultivating one person is already the limit. Let her cultivate Zhui Yunqing. I can cultivate by myself. You don't have to worry about this. If it was in the past, Miss would be at a critical stage in her cultivation. But the last time I contacted Miss, I learned that Miss has finally taken that critical step. It said that she was received by the sect master and was rewarded with many treasures. It won't be difficult to cultivate one more person. She took that crucial step. Did she break through in her cultivation? Yu Shanshan nodded vigorously, with a sense of honor. However, Xinghui still shook his head. "I've made up my mind. That's it. Yuhengf. I'll go back and report to Mississippi. When the time comes, Miss will send someone and Miss Yunqing to personally take you away." Chapter 38. The royal capital of Lorraine had a population of 1 million, and there were countless forces entrenched in the royal capital. However, there were only a few that could truly be called the upper forces. The royal family was naturally the largest force. Below them, the four most promising candidates for the throne, the eldest prince, the third prince, and the 12th prince were also part of the upper forces. Behind them were the other princes and princesses, the Demon Hunters Association, the Ing Garden, the Hunyuan Pavilion, the Cloud Forest House, and the metal element of heaven and earth. Therefore, such a big change in the Demon Hunters Association, the death of President Hunyuan, and the death of more than 40 blood transformation grandmasters, swept through the entire royal capital like a storm. For the first time, the name Cho Tsing-Hui was known by the people of the royal capital, especially when everyone thought that Tsing-Hui would take the Hunyuan Heaven Sect's flying boat to the Hunyuan Heaven Sect after severely damaging the Demon Hunters Association. Unexpectedly, he stayed in the royal capital and did not leave. For a time, the Divine Armament Building, which had not yet moved out of the Ing Garden, gradually became lively. "Father, do we need to visit them?" At this time, inside the Ing Garden, on a walkway not far from the Divine Armament Building, Nangong Ting's face was full of resentment. He's just a villain who's intoxicated by success. He doesn't even know what kind of mistake he has made. Do you think the Demon Hunters Association's money is so easy to take? The Demon Hunters Association's branch of the Lorraine Kingdom is only one of the 9 branches of the Demon Hunters Association. There's only one powerhouse in the association, but in the headquarters, there are as many powerhouses as there are clouds. The number of awakening stage powerhouses is in the double digits, especially the president. Not only is he omnipotent, but his cultivation is also unbelievably tyrannical. It is said that he has already stepped into the 2nd level of the immortality stage. Once the Demon Hunters Association gets angry, they will send powerhouses to kill the chicken to warn the monkey. Only death will await Cho Tsing-Hui. If we go there now, people will think that the Ing Garden is afraid of Cho Tsing-Hui. What do you know? He glared at Nangong Ting and said, "The Lorraine branch has the support of the headquarters, but Cho Tsing-Hui also has someone behind him. Moreover, it is the talented, true disciple Nalan Fei. Now that he has shown excellent talent, Nalan Fei will definitely bring him to the Hunyuan Heaven Sect to be her right-hand man. This Nalan Fei is not only extremely powerful, but the Nalan family is also a famous cultivation family. In their most glorious days, 2 great elders were born in the family. Even if their momentum is not as strong as before, there are still many powerhouses in the family. If the Demon Hunters Association really dares to be aggressive, Nalan Fei will definitely not ignore it. When the time comes, even if someone from the headquarters comes, they won't be able to do anything to Nalan Fei. The headquarters president of the Demon Hunters Association has eyes and eyes everywhere. He has a close relationship with an important figure in the Hunyuan Heaven Sect. Every year, the Demon Hunters Association's profits are handed over to that important figure in exchange for his protection. I'm afraid it won't be easy for Nalan Fei to make a move. If something goes wrong, the matter will escalate to a game between the upper echelons. Nangongyu was also somewhat puzzled. A game between the upper echelons is no longer something that we, Hunyuan, can interfere in. Hunyuan can be considered a faction in the Lorraine Kingdom, but in the Hunyuan Heaven Sect, what are the 24 kingdoms? Even the Lorraine Kingdom, there are princes and grand dukes. Right now, we're just going to pay a visit and make friends. No matter what the result is, there's no harm. It's better to squash enmity than to keep it alive. Nangong Lai sighed. Hearing this, Nangongyu understood something. Hunyuan could not afford to offend the Demon Hunters Association's headquarters, nor could she afford to offend Nalan Fei. The only thing she could do was to please both sides and not offend either. After realizing this, Nangongyu felt a little distressed. In the eyes of ordinary people, Hunyuan seemed to have limitless glory and attracted the envy of many wealthy merchants and nobles. However, in the eyes of the true top factions, the little Hunyuan was not worth mentioning. The 3 of them soon arrived outside the Divine Armament Building. At this moment, There were 4 people kneeling outside the divine armament building, kowtowing and begging for forgiveness. Beside them, there were more than 10 trembling people accompanying them. Nangong Ting glanced at them and recognized their identities. Aren't they the Black Flame Duke, the Assistant Minister of the Ministry of Rites, and the Assistant Minister of the Ministry of War, as well as their young masters and young mistresses? Why? The conflict between the Demon Hunters Association and Tsing Hui was actually caused by Gang Lai, Feng Xiu, and the others. Now that they know that Tsing Hui defeated the Demon Hunters Association's Lorraine Kingdom branch, they're probably afraid and have come to kowtow and beg for forgiveness, said Nangong Yu. Nangong Yu said. At this moment, the Black Flame Duke and the others also saw Nangong Lai and the others. They immediately stepped forward and bowed respectfully. Garden Master Nangong. Garden Master Nangong, are you going to pay a visit to Prince Tsing Hui? I wonder if you can put in a good word for me in front of Prince Tsing Hui. Lai Gang, Feng Xiu, Ning Hua, Ning Xian, and the others who were kneeling on the ground were so ashamed that they wished there was a hole in the ground for them to crawl into. If they could turn back time, they would never dare to provoke Tsing Hui, even if they were given 10,000 guts. Unfortunately, there was no medicine for regret in this world. Everyone, our Ing Garden also has some small conflicts with Prince Tsing Hui. We can't even take care of ourselves. How can we care about other things? Nangong Lai sighed, not daring to agree. Garden Master Nangong is the first guest in the residence of His Highness the 10th Prince. Even if he doesn't give you face, Prince Tsing Hui definitely won't dare to slight Garden Master Nangong for the sake of the 10th Prince. As long as Garden Master Nangong can help us get through this disaster, we'll be eternally grateful. The Black Flame Duke stepped forward and bowed deeply with a sincere expression. It's just a small matter. You don't have to make it so troublesome. At this moment, a voice came from the corner of the courtyard, not far away. Immediately after, an elegant man with a feather fan and a silk headband strode over, surrounded by 2 beautiful women. Sword Rain Scholar. Nangong Lai, the Black Flame Duke, and the others exclaimed at the same time when they saw this handsome man. Sword Rain Scholar was one of the top 3 guest elders in the residence of the 3rd Prince. In the royal family, the 1st Prince, the 3rd Prince, and the 12th Prince were the most qualified to vie for the supreme throne. The power they possessed far surpassed that of the other princes and princesses. For example, Nangong Lai's cultivation was slightly inferior to Wu Hunyuan's, but he could become the first guest elder in the residence of the 10th Prince. If he were to go to the residence of the 3rd Prince, he wouldn't even be in the top 3, let alone the first guest elder. Now that Sword Rain Scholar had appeared here, it was obvious that he was here for Tsing Hui. Greetings, Mr. Sword Rain. The Black Flame Duke and the others hurriedly bowed with a respectful expression, not daring to be negligent at all. They knew that Sword Rain Scholar cared a lot about his reputation. Once someone humiliated him, he would definitely take revenge by any means necessary. All right, get up. As nobles and officials of the kingdom, it's inappropriate for you to kneel here. Sword Rain Scholar waved his hand as he looked at the few people who were acting respectfully. But Prince Tsing Hui, isn't my appearance here enough to prove something? Cho Tsing Hui will soon become the subordinate of the 3rd Prince. By then, he and I will both be working for the 3rd Prince. It's nothing for me to forgive you guys for such a small matter. The Black Flame Duke, the Assistant Minister from the Ministry of Rites, and the Assistant Minister from the Ministry of War looked at each other and immediately stood up. They thanked Sword Rain Scholar profusely. Thank you, Mr. Sword Rain. We will definitely follow the 3rd Prince's lead in the future. All right, it's good that you guys know what you're doing. I'll go and invite Cho Tsing Hui now. He can't even protect himself now. The Devil Hunter Union has learned about the incident in Lorraine and is furious. They will definitely not let this go. Fortunately, the 3rd Prince thinks highly of him and is willing to give him the status of an upper guest to protect him. I don't think he will miss this opportunity. From now on, you guys will be on the same side. Sword Rain Scholar laughed and glanced at Nangong Lai. When his gaze landed on Nangong Yu, his eyes lit up. Nangong Lai, you have a good daughter. With such beauty, why don't you give your daughter to me? I'll put in a good word for you to the 3rd Prince. Who knows? The third prince might be willing to give you the status of an upper guest. Working for the third prince is better than being half dead under the 10th prince. Sword Rain Scholar, you must be joking. Since I'm working for the 10th prince, I'll naturally be cautious and conscientious. I'm going to visit Prince Tsinghui, so I won't talk much with you. I'll take my leave first, Nangong Lai said, and quickly led Nangong Yu and Nangong Ting into the courtyard of the Divine Armament Building. Chapter 39. In the guest hall of the Divine Armament Building, Xian Long was sitting on the lower side and carefully serving the guest. On the guest seat, there was a lady wearing a sky blue dress with a classical temperament. She was holding a teacup and sipping on it. Her actions were filled with a pleasing elegance. Behind her, there were two maids standing silently at the side, waiting for orders. Princess Hunyuan, Prince Tsinghui, is currently cultivating and is not in a good condition to receive guests. Why don't you come another day? There's no hurry. I will wait here for Prince Tsinghui. I am a lady and don't have any duties. It is fine for me to stay in the Divine Armament Building for a while. The lady named Qing Luan smiled gently. Don't tell me Building Master Xian doesn't welcome me? I wouldn't dare. Princess Qing Luan's presence brings light to the Divine Armament Building. How can we not welcome you? Xian Long felt helpless. Mister, our building master is currently receiving an important guest. Please wait for a moment. Just then, Qing Hong's anxious voice came from outside the building. It was accompanied by the footsteps of a group of people. Important guest? What kind of important guest can be compared to me, Mr. Swordrain? I want to see. The voice outside the door was filled with dissatisfaction. Not long later, a group of people appeared in the guest hall. The leader was Sword Rain Scholar. As soon as he stepped into the reception hall, Rainstorm Scholar's gaze immediately fell on Princess Qingwan, who was wearing a sky blue dress. He laughed. I was wondering who it was. So it's Princess Qingwan. Why? Is the 12th prince behind Princess Qingwan interested in recruiting Zhui Qingshu? Building master, they forced their way in. We couldn't stop them. Qing Hong came to Xian Long's side and whispered, It's not your fault. You can leave. Xian Long looked at Sword Rain Scholar and instantly felt a headache. He was someone that the Divine Armament Building couldn't afford to offend. I'm only here to visit Prince Tsinghui. Princess Qingwan obviously didn't have a good impression of Sword Rain Scholar. Her expression was cold. Sword Rain Scholar didn't mind and turned his gaze to Xian Long. Xian Long, where's Cho Tsinghui? I'm here on behalf of His Highness, the Third Prince. Why isn't he coming out to greet me? Prince Tsinghui is in the middle of cultivation. For the time being, he can't. How dare you? Sword Rain Scholar pointed at Xian Long and said sternly, Do you know that Cho Tsinghui is about to face a great calamity? Only our third prince can save him. Right now, I'm representing the third prince to save his life. As his subordinate, you don't call him out and instead use all kinds of excuses. What are your intentions? Are you trying to kill your master? Send a message to him immediately. Otherwise, don't blame me for killing a traitorous slave like you. Seeing how overbearing Sword Rain Scholar was, Xian Long was enraged. However, after considering Rain Sword Scholar's tyrannical strength and the third prince behind him, he could only suppress his anger. He said in a low voice, Our young master is really in closed-door cultivation. He said that he won't receive any visitors during his closed-door cultivation. Bastard! Before Xian Long could finish speaking, Sword Rain Scholar had already shouted and struck out with his palm at an unimaginable speed. Xian Long might be the Tower Master of the Divine Armament Tower and could be considered one of the best in the blood-changing realm. But when faced with an attack from an awakening realm expert like Sword Rain Scholar, he could not resist at all. He was sent flying and vomited blood. He crashed heavily into the wall and was injured on the spot. Tower Master! Sir, Qing Hong could not help but cry out when she saw Sword Rain Scholar actually daring to attack. She quickly went to Xian Long's side. Xian Long's face turned pale. His chi and blood were in chaos. He looked at Sword Rain Scholar with eyes full of anger. How dare you, unruly slave! I've already said that I'm here to save your master's life. However, you're obstructing me in every possible way. Could it be that you've secretly killed your master? No, I have to see Cho Tsing Hui with my own eyes. I don't want him to be killed by you, unruly slave. While speaking, Sword Rain Scholar ignored Xian Long and quickly headed to the inner courtyard. Quickly inform Prince Tsing Hui. Xian Long quickly said to Qin Hong. As for himself, he quickly followed Sword Rain Scholar but did not dare to stop him. Behind him, the graceful and elegant Qing Yuan region lord also followed and frowned. The spiritual imprint of a spirit and Qi unification realm expert is really extraordinary. I wonder how strong a real spirit and Qi unification realm expert is. Tsing Hui slowly put down the rank 3 high-grade divine armament in his hand. However, I've already cultivated sword intent, and my spiritual force has reached rank 34. According to my estimation, I'm not weaker than a spirit refining realm expert of longevity realm 3. To deal with the spiritual imprint of a spirit refining realm expert who died many years ago, I reckon that I'll need another 2 to 3 days to completely erase it. At that time, I'll be able to control this rank 3 divine armament. With the advantage of the divine armament, I'll be able to fight against a spirit refining realm expert of longevity realm 2. The amplification effect of divine armaments on cultivators is extremely significant. A level 1 divine weapon corresponded to the first level of the immortality realm. It could allow an expert of the first level of the immortality realm to unleash his or her attacks perfectly. If an expert of the first level of the immortality realm wielded a level 1 divine weapon, it could increase his or her attacks by 2 levels. If an expert of the first level of the immortality realm wielded a level 2 divine weapon, it would be able to increase his or her attacks by 3, 4, or even 5 levels. If his or her blood, qi, zhen qi, and battle skills were completely compatible with the divine weapon, it could increase his or her attacks by 6, 8, or even 10 levels. Similar to the rank 3 high-grade divine armament in Tsing Hui's hand, the amplification effect can reach 8 to 16 ranks. Although Tsing Hui has yet to step into the longevity realm, he already has the strength of a longevity realm expert. This rank 3 high-grade divine armament in his hand can increase his attack by at least 8 ranks. As long as the two are slightly compatible, it can unleash an amplification effect of rank 9, rank 10, or even rank 11 or 12. After looking at it for a moment, Tsing Hui put down the sword and picked up the Tai sword again. The Tai sword is a peerless sword. Although it has yet to be ranked, it is definitely one of the top swords in the level of treasured swords. The sword intent contained in the sword body adds a touch of mystery to the sword. The refined edge sword had already been damaged in the confrontation with Hunyuan, and he was temporarily unable to use the rank 3 divine weapon. He couldn't keep Xian Long's divine weapon, so he focused his gaze on the greater 1 sword and activated the advancement technique. Buzz buzz. Flowing light circulated. Under the extremely profound and mysterious power of the technique of advancement, the Great One Sword immediately underwent a tremendous change. Not only did the sword become more compatible with Qing Su's arm-lengthened fingers, but its toughness and heaviness from before had also changed to sharpness and lightness. What surprised Tsing Hui even more was that the sword intent contained in the sword was actually reversed under the mysterious effect of the advancement technique. It was brilliant and vast, like a hidden, scorching sun, perfectly compatible with the sword intent contained in the Dongyang Sword Classic. A divine armament upgraded by the advancement technique is as compatible with the owner of the advancement technique as possible. Tsing Hui held the Tai sword, and a feeling of connection with it surged in his heart. Since the Tai sword itself is a peerless sword, now that it has been upgraded to rank 1, it is also a high-rank rank 1 sword. Coupled with the fact that it is completely compatible with Tsing Hui, it is enough to increase Tsing Hui's attack by 3 ranks. This is also because his strength is close to the middle stage of the Awakening Realm. If he only has the strength of the Awakening Realm, the Tai sword's attack increase will definitely reach the maximum value of rank 4. Prince Xinghui not good. Just when Xinghui planned to try the mysteries of the Tai sword after the advancement technique, Qing Hong's anxious voice came from outside the door. His Highness the Third Prince's guest, Sword Rain Scholar, is here. He forced to see you despite Master Xian's obstruction and even injured her. He is now coming to the place where you are cultivating in seclusion. Chapter 40. When Xinghui suppressed the Demon Hunters Union 6 days ago, he expected that there would be all kinds of visits. Therefore, he rejected them all with the excuse of cultivation. Those forces were also tactful. After understanding that Xinghui did not want to see them, they left their gifts and left. But this Sword Rain Scholar, how dare he barge in? Xinghui opened the door and saw a group of people striding into the courtyard. The person in the lead was Sword Rain Scholar. Sword Rain Scholar. Cultivation Realm. Awakening Realm. Attack level, 14. Defense level, 13. Speed level, 14. Spirit level, 12. These values were already considered to be in the middle stage of the Awakening Realm. Even Wu Hunyuan was inferior to him. You're Cho Xinghui? Very well. I'm here to save your life. If you don't want to die in the Demon Hunters Union's revenge, join the Third Prince's Mansion. The Third Prince's Mansion has many powerhouses, including several Awakening Realm powerhouses. His mother, noble consort Rueda, is the daughter of the Myriad Swords Mountain Sect Master. She has the support of a large sect, the Myriad Swords Mountain. As long as you join the Third Prince's Mansion and work for the Third Prince, I can guarantee that the Demon Hunters Union will never dare to act presumptuously in the Lorraine Kingdom again. Sword Rain Scholar looked at Xinghui, who walked out of the room, and immediately waved his hand. On the other hand, Princess Qingluan and Garden Master Hunyuan, who came with him, only bowed slightly to Xinghui and did not say anything. Obviously, they also wanted to see how Xinghui would deal with Sword Rain Scholar's coercion. However, Xinghui obviously did not pay attention to Sword Rain Scholar. Instead, his gaze fell on Xian Long, who still had a trace of blood at the corner of his mouth. He injured you. Mr. Sword Rain wishes to meet you, and I tried to stop him, but I wasn't able to do so in time. That's why I taught this slave a lesson for you. You don't have to thank me for such a small matter. Oh, by the way, I've also asked the Black Flame Duke and his men to leave. The Black Flame Duke is also a duke. If he defers to the Third Prince, he will be of some help. Since we're going to work together, you have to think more about the Third Prince. Xian Long said bitterly. Swish! Before Sword Rain Scholar could finish his words, Xinghui attacked. The Great One Sword brought about a dazzling sword light that was like the sun rising from the east. In that instant, it filled up the void space before Sword Rain Scholar. Impudent. Seeing that Xinghui actually dared to attack him, Sword Rain Scholar was enraged. The sharp sword in his hand pierced out explosively. The sharpness of the sword soared into the sky and turned into waves of cold light that shot out. It caused Xian Long, Nangong Lai, Regent Princess Qingluan, and the others to continuously retreat. Cho Xinghui, I came to save your life out of goodwill, and you actually dared to attack me. You really don't know what's good for you. I told His Highness the Third Prince that he shouldn't waste time on you. Instead of trying to rope you in, why not accept the bounty of the Demon Hunters Association's divine weapon and capture you and bring you to the Demon Hunters Association? That way, he would be able to receive the bounty and become friends with the Demon Hunters Association. This is also the reason why I came in and didn't want to talk nonsense with you. Now that you dared to attack, it's exactly what I wanted. Accompanied by Sword Rain Scholar's sharp howl, the two swords instantly collided into one. Bang! Gold and iron collided, and sparks burst out. The sharpness of the two divine weapons shot out through the swords, attacking each other's muscles and veins. It made Xinghui feel as if his entire arm had been pierced through by the sword. With such pain, a regular awakening expert would definitely feel their arm go numb. Even if they could attack again, their agility would definitely be affected. However, Qingsu had a second-stage recovery ability, and his talent in swordsmanship had also reached the second stage. With a slight tremble of his arm, he actually stabbed down again despite his right hand being affected. The sharp edge of his sword was like a shooting star, arriving before Sword Rain's scholar in an instant. You have some tricks, but not enough. Storm Sword Gale. Sword Rain Scholar felt the shocking sharpness of Tsing Hui's sword, and his expression suddenly changed. In the next moment, his sword speed suddenly changed. Even though his arm was numb, he actually stabbed out 14 sword shadows in one breath, completely blocking Tsing Hui's attack. Sword Art, Moon Rush. Boom! The sword light was vast and mighty. The 14 sword shadows that Sword Rain Scholar had stabbed out in one breath shattered the moment they collided with Tsing Hui's sword light. With Shi Feng's Tier 2 swordsmanship talent, the so-called 14 sword images were no longer a secret to him. Moving as fast as lightning, Shi Feng's soaring moon heavily struck the center of Rain Scholar's sword images. The sharpness of Shi Feng's sword penetrated Rain Scholar's body, causing blood to spurt out of his palm. He even lost his grip on his sword. Not good. I can't block it. At the crucial moment, Sword Rain Scholar tapped his feet, and his body became as light as a falling leaf. He did not give Tsing Hui any chance to expand his attack. Using the power of the Moon Rush, he retreated rapidly. In the blink of an eye, the distance between the two of them had increased to 30 meters. The movement technique that Sword Rain Scholar displayed at that moment made Xian Long, who had yet to reach Awakening Realm, feel dizzy. This speed, if he used it to deal with us blood-changing grandmasters, I'm afraid we would be dead before we could even see his figure. Xian Long was sweating profusely. Even Nangong Lai's pupils shrank. With Sword Rain Scholar's current strength, it would not be difficult to defeat him. Even if the 3 Awakening Realm experts from the 10th Prince's residence worked together, they might not be able to defeat Sword Rain Scholar. If Sword Rain Scholar was already so powerful, then how powerful would the other 2 upper honored guests be? Not to mention the 3rd Prince's chief honored guest. For a moment, Nangong Lai's confidence in the 10th Prince's ability to compete for the throne was shaken. On the other hand, Princess Qing Wan's eyes flashed as she looked at Tsing Hui. She seemed to be surprised by his current strength. Damn it. I studied the battle between you and Wu Hunyuan. Although you defeated Wu Hunyuan, it was an extremely dangerous victory. Even if you're stronger than Wu Hunyuan, there's a limit to it. How can you defeat me? Sword Rain Scholar was forced into a disadvantageous position, and his expression was unsightly. However, Tsing Hui did not intend to stop there. With a turn of his sword light, he became one with his sword and stabbed towards Sword Rain Scholar again. Compared to Wu Hunyuan, Sword Rain Scholar was indeed slightly stronger. However, Wu Hunyuan was a master of the way of the fist, skilled in close combat, while Sword Rain Scholar was a master of the way of the sword, skilled in swordsmanship. It just so happened that Qing Su had a talent for the second level of the way of the sword, and he was an expert who had comprehended sword intent, so it was much easier for him to deal with a master of the sword than a master of the fist. Sword Rain Scholar did not see any flaws in Sword Rain Scholar's attack. It seemed that no matter where he dodged, he would have to face a thunderous attack. He had no choice but to raise his sword to block again. Bang! Flames flickered. Relying on his speed, Rainstorm Scholar once again widened the distance between them before Zhuo Qingxiu could give chase. He shouted coldly, "Zhuo Qingxiu, I came here to recruit you out of goodwill on behalf of His Highness the 3rd Prince to save your life. It's fine if you don't appreciate my kindness, but you actually dared to attack me. How audacious of you. I'll report this to the 3rd Prince right now. When the Demon Hunters Association comes for revenge, His Highness will have to stay out of it. You can just wait to die under their vengeance." As soon as he finished speaking, his body suddenly leaped up and rapidly changed positions in the air. He was actually planning to run away. "You want to leave after injuring my men? Do you have my permission? Stay." Qing Su bellowed out, and the force beneath his feet erupted, shooting out like an arrow. All of his vital energies erupted in the air, condensing into a dazzling sword intent on the tip of the Great One sword. He stabbed out viciously, and immediately it was as if a sun had appeared in the sky, illuminating the world with its brilliance. Chapter 41. Clearly, there was only Tsing Hui's resplendent sword gleam in the air, but in the eyes of ordinary people, it was like the scorching sun in the sky, shining brilliantly. Especially Sword Rain Scholar, who bore the brunt of the attack. He was like snow exposed to the scorching sun as he let out a miserable shriek. Sword intent. Sword intent. This is sword intent. Swish. The sword intent was brilliant. Following Tsing Hui's figure that moved unhindered, Sword Rain Scholar, who was injured by the sword intent, did not have time to react at all. His right hand that was holding the sword had already been chopped off. Chi, dark red blood splattered in the air, filled with mournful and tragic grief. My hand, Sword Rain Scholar, who fell to the ground, held his arm. His eyes were filled with pain and resentment. Meanwhile, Princess Hunyuan and Garden Master Garden gasped when they saw Sword Rain Scholar's arm that was chopped off from his shoulder. Sword Rain Scholar was one of the famous upper guest elders of the third prince's residence. With the Rainstorm Sword, he could move unhindered in the royal capital. He rarely had opponents in the immortality realm. Just by himself, he probably had the ability to destroy the entire Dragonchan Island. If all the experts in the royal capital were to be ranked, Sword Rain Scholar would definitely be ranked in the top 30. However, such a powerful awakening realm expert had fallen in the Divine Armament building today. A swordsman with his right arm chopped off probably had less than 60% of his strength left. Cho Tsing-hui, you actually dare to chop off my arm. I will definitely not let you off. His Highness the Third Prince will definitely not let you off either. Sword Rain Scholar looked at Tsing Hui with eyes filled with resentment. Tsing Hui frowned. In the next moment, his figure moved again. A sword streaked across the sky. The sharp sword gleam that carried the suffocating aura of death brazenly attacked. Sword Rain Scholar was shocked. He never thought that Tsing Hui would dare to kill him after cutting off one of his arms. With a loud roar, he pushed his speed to the limit and flew out of the Divine Armament Tower. However, after losing an arm, he lost his balance to a certain degree. Moreover, Qing Su had struck out with his sword as well, stabbing out with great speed. Even when Jian Yushu tried to dodge the attack by tumbling about madly in the air, he was still unable to avoid being pierced by the sword. When he landed on the ground again, the pain in his waist affected his strength, causing him to tumble about on the ground. No, stop, don't, Sword Rain Scholar, who was rolling on the ground, felt a great pain in his heart. However, before he could even scream, Tsing Hui's sword light had already reached him again. He was so frightened that he screamed out loud. Unfortunately, Tsing Hui turned a blind eye to his screams. Swish! The Great One sword was like a bolt of lightning as it pierced in his Sword Rain Scholar's throat. Sword Rain Scholar's screams came to an abrupt end. You swish. Tsing Hui pulled out his sword and retreated. Dark red blood spurted out from the wound on Sword Rain Scholar's throat, splattering all over the ground. Even in death, Sword Rain Scholar's face was still filled with disbelief. He never thought that Tsing Hui would actually dare to kill him. He completely ignored his status as an upper honored guest of the Third Prince's residence and killed him. Hiss! Seeing Tsing Hui shake his sword and shake off the blood on the sword, Princess Hunyuan and Garden Master Garden both gasped. He actually killed him. Does he not fear the Third Prince's power at all? Princess Hunyuan muttered to herself. Nangong Lai, on the other hand, shuddered. This Cho Tsing Hui, he was truly a madman. He did not care about the severity of the situation and dared to kill anyone. Sword Rain Scholar was an upper honored guest of the Third Prince's residence. He was ordered by the Third Prince to invite him into the residence. However, not only did he turn a blind eye to Sword Rain Scholar's invitation, he even killed him. Where was the Third Prince's face? Even if the Third Prince was unwilling to go against Tsing Hui, he had no choice but to do something to protect his reputation. Otherwise, who would dare to work for him? Thinking about how the third prince's estate was obviously a bit more powerful than the 12th prince's, Princess Qing hesitated for a moment and could only sigh. Young Master Qing Su, you made a huge mistake this time. It's one thing to chop off his arm, but of all things, you shouldn't have killed him. Killing him and crippling him are two completely different attitudes. Now, even if the third prince isn't willing to deal with you, he has no choice but to act to protect his reputation. Since he already said that he won't let me go, why should I give him a way out? Wait for him to seek revenge? Sing Hui said softly. Young master, I think we should go to the Hunyuan heaven sect as soon as possible. If we go to the Hunyuan heaven sect and become its disciples, even if the third prince has great power in the Lorraine kingdom, he won't be able to interfere with the internal affairs of the Hunyuan heaven sect. No need. Sing Hui shook his head. Mr. Qing Su, I think you should leave the imperial city as soon as possible. The Demon Hunter Union has limited power in the Lorraine kingdom. Even if they really want to take revenge on you, they won't be able to gather enough manpower in such a short time. However, the third prince is different. The third prince has 8 honorable dignitaries in his residence, and each of them is a level 1 awakening realm immortal. Among them, there are 3 honorable dignitaries, and the Sword Rain Scholar is one of them. Chapter 42. Bang! In the third prince's study, a precious vase worth thousands of gold was smashed to pieces. The third prince, Luo Tianying, who had always carried a graceful and noble aura, was now filled with rage. This is simply outrageous. This Cho Tsing Hui did not put me in his eyes at all. Not only did he not accept my invitation to work for me, he even dared to kill my people and humiliate me. Does he really think that he can ride on my head and behave atrociously just because he suppressed a Demon Hunters Union branch? The third prince, Luo Tianying, was accompanied by 3 figures. 2 of these people had extraordinary cultivations with a single glance. They carried an unfathomable aura. They were the other 2 upper guests of the residence, Griffin King Zhuofeng and Flame Devil Tu Wandi. As for the other person, she looked to be in her 20s and was dressed rather flirtatiously. This woman's cultivation aura was only in the viscera refining realm, but Vulture Wang's Zhuofeng and Flame Devil Tu Wandi looked at her with a trace of fear. It was obvious that she had a background that surpassed them, the awakening realm experts. Third brother, your attitude towards Cho Tsing Hui has been wavering. You wanted to capture Cho Tsing Hui and offer him to the Demon Hunters Union, but you also wanted to recruit him for your own use. After Rainsword Scholar understood your attitude, he naturally did not treat this child with all his heart. I heard that when he entered the Divine Armament Tower, he was arrogant and despotic. He tried to use pressure to force Cho Tsing Hui to submit. In the end, he caused Cho Tsing Hui to counterattack and kill him. Luo Tunning looked at her with dissatisfaction. Sister Shuang, what are you talking about? Rainsword Scholar went to recruit him on my behalf. Naturally, he has to show the prestige of my residence. Moreover, Rainsword Scholar is right. The people of the Demon Hunters Union are indeed preparing for revenge. If no one comes to save him, when the experts of the Demon Hunters Union arrive, only death will await him. It seems like Third Brother is more interested in the Demon Hunters Union because the Demon Hunters Union has promised to recommend Third Brother to become the president of the Lorraine Kingdom's Demon Hunters Union. Since Third Brother has already made up his mind, why don't we just capture him directly? Why do we have to send Sword Rain Scholar over? The woman saw through Luo Tanying's true thoughts. Humph, I just saw that he was a promising talent and wanted to give him a hand. Since he doesn't know what's good for him, he can't blame me. Zhuofeng, Tu Wandi, you 2 go personally. If he is willing to obediently surrender, then that's fine. If he dares to resist, then kill him. Since we're going to make a move, we have to make sure nothing goes wrong. We have to do it beautifully. Zhuo Qingshu was able to kill Sword Rain Scholar, so his cultivation shouldn't be underestimated. Zhuofeng and Tu Wandi can defeat him, but it won't be easy to capture or kill him. If he escapes, he'll be a disaster for you, Third Brother. Luo Tianying pondered for a moment and nodded. Sister Shuang is right. I think we have to ask senior brother Wan Jianxian to act personally. That's what I mean. That's exactly what I mean. Zhuo Qingshu was able to suppress the Lorraine Kingdom's branch of the Demon Hunters Union and kill Sword Rain Scholar all by himself. His strength is not to be underestimated. Killing him will be enough to show the strength of our residents. The first prince and the 12th prince have been quite restless recently. The 12th prince is still all right, as he knows his place. However, the first prince, relying on his righteous position, has been very active, causing many officials in the imperial court to have second thoughts. This time, we can let senior brother Wan, the left honorary advisor and honorary advisor 2, strike together and kill Zhuo Qingshu with a thunderous force. This will not only deter the first prince and the 12th prince, but also show the world who is the true chosen one. Zhuo Feng frowned and said, "Will this matter attract the attention of the true disciple behind Cho Tsinghui, Nalan Fei? Since the Demon Hunters Association dares to take action, they will naturally take care of these matters properly. There is an elder behind the Demon Hunters Association. If Nalan Furua dares to intervene in this matter, it will damage that elder's face." Luo Tianying finished and looked deeply at Zhuo Feng. Cho Tsinghui's potential is not bad, but why am I biased towards the Demon Hunters Union? My relationship with the president of the Demon Hunters Union is deeper than you think. Zhuo Feng was slightly startled and quickly cupped his hands. Your Highness is wise. Zhuo Feng, go keep an eye on Cho Tsinghui and don't let him escape. Tu Wandi, spread the news. In 3 days, I want every corner of the Lorraine Kingdom to know that we're going to put Cho Tsinghui on trial. When I invite senior brother Wan, the 3 of you go straight to the Divine Armament Tower and let everyone in the Lorraine Kingdom know the consequences of going against me, the 3rd prince. Why 3 days? 3 days. We want to see if there are any small fries who will jump out and save Cho Tsinghui. This will give your Highness a legitimate reason to attack those small fries. Luo Shuang said lightly. The small fries she was talking about were naturally the eldest prince and the 12th prince. Your Highness is wise. Zhuo Feng and Tu Wandi both shouted at the same time. In the Lorraine Kingdom, the eldest prince was righteous and supported by the officials. The 12th prince was quite virtuous and had a high reputation among the people. As for the 3rd prince, he was the strongest because he had the support of the 10,000 Swords Mountain. As the 3rd prince deliberately spread the news that the 3rd prince would deal with Cho Tsinghui in 3 days spread throughout the Lorraine Kingdom. Cho Tsinghui had destroyed the Demon Hunters Union not long ago, killing dozens of blood transformation experts and the president of the Demon Hunters Union. This had caused a huge uproar in the Lorraine Kingdom. Before this wave passed, the news of him killing Sword Rain Scholar spread. Less than 4 hours later, the news of the 3rd prince's residence spread, pushing the topic to the peak. For a moment, almost everyone in the Lorraine Kingdom looked at the Divine Armament Tower that had yet to move out of the Inn Garden, waiting for the tower's response. What a pity! This Cho Tsinghui had the ability to kill Sword Rain Scholar without even stepping into the Awakening Realm, but he offended the 3rd prince. In the 12th prince's residence, the 12th prince, Luo Hunyuan, was regretful. Your Highness, are you not going to do anything? If you save Cho Tsinghui, not only will you gain the favor of this young hero, but you will also have a chance to establish a relationship with the Hunyuan Heaven Sect's true disciple, Nalan Fei. Princess Qingwan also felt sorry for Tsinghui. The Hunyuan Heaven Sect's Nalan Fei, their relationship is too distant. Also, Cho Tsinghui has a relationship with the Hunyuan Heaven Sect, but the Demon Hunters Union does too. My foundation can't be compared to Big Brother and Third Brother. I want to help, but I can't. When Princess Qingwan heard this, she also fell silent. Your Highness First Prince, this is our chance. Several guests of the First Prince's residence gathered together to argue about Cho Tsinghui. The chief guest, Sword Venerable Lu Yu, seemed to attach great importance to Tsinghui. In terms of background, the Demon Hunters Union is naturally better than Cho Tsinghui, But the demon hunter's union's background is not good enough, and the true disciple behind Cho Tsing-Hui doesn't have such scruples. We may be able to save this person and recruit him for our own use. However, the first prince Luo Tianqing shook his head. I know this person. He is too cruel and doesn't know the severity of the matter. Not to mention whether he will be grateful to us for saving him and enter our residence. Even if he does enter our residence, this kind of troublemaking temperament will bring us endless trouble. Let's drop this matter. But Your Highness, it said that Sword Rain's scholar shouted sword will before he died. It's very likely that Zhuo Qingshu has fully comprehended the sword will. A cultivator who has fully comprehended the sword will have a bright future. Does Sword Rain's scholar know what sword intent is? Rumors can't be trusted. Besides, Third Brother has made this matter known to everyone. It is hard to say whether he is waiting for us to take the initiative to jump out and fight him. Our advantage is that we have the general momentum and reputation. If we compete in strength, we will only be using our weakness to attack his strength. It will only add to the losses. Let's leave it at that. The entire Lorraine kingdom was in turmoil because of Tsing Hui, but in Tsing Hui's courtyard in the Divine Armament Building, it was calm. However, under the calm surface, no one knew what kind of stormy waves were brewing. Chapter 43. Bang, bang, bang. Young master, young master. Sounds came from outside Tsing Hui's cultivation room. Tsing Hui, who was resting, opened his eyes. 16 hours. Tsing Hui looked at the rank 3 divine weapon in his hand. The time it took to erase the Golden Light Wanderer's spiritual brand was shorter than he had imagined. Less than a day. It should be around 10 in the morning of the second day. He had already grasped the rank 3 divine weapon at 6 in the morning. The reason why he hadn't left was because he was recuperating from the Golden Light Wanderer's spiritual brand. And now it was about time. Come in, Tsing Hui said. Young master, I deserve to die for disturbing your cultivation. But young master, we really can't stay in the Luo Lin royal capital any longer. Otherwise, all of us will face a disaster. We should leave the Luo Lin royal capital as soon as possible. Xian Long immediately knelt on the ground and begged as soon as he entered the room. Oh, is there movement from the third prince's side? The third prince has already said that in 2 days he will send the 10,000 Swords Mountain senior brother Wan Jianxian, High Guest Elder Zwafeng, and High Guest Elder Tu Wandi to our divine weapon building to take revenge for Sword Rain Scholar. 2 more days? Tsing Hui frowned. He was still waiting for the third prince to come and settle this matter as soon as possible. Xian Long was startled. He didn't know what his young master meant. Tsing Hui's main purpose in coming to the Luo Lin royal capital was to buy a suitable sword. Now that this mission was completed, it was time to leave the Luo Lin royal capital. As for the third prince's accusation that had caused a great uproar, why should he care? Young master, we should immediately leave the Luo Lin royal capital and head to the Hunyuan heaven sect to seek refuge with Miss Naylan Fei. With Miss Naylan Fei's protection, we will be safe. Tsing Hui shook his head. So what if he went to the Hunyuan heaven sect? For the time being, the Hunyuan heaven sect would not pass on the true black hole art to him. According to his understanding, different bloodlines had different growth potentials. Although he could also consume the blood essence of saint beasts or god beasts to enhance his bloodline, he would have to pay 10 times or even 100 times the price. Tsing Hui only had 10 years, and he could not afford to delay. Could it be that we have to go to the third prince's residence to apologize and reconcile with the third prince? If we do that, it would be equivalent to putting our lives in the hands of the third prince. If the third prince refuses to forgive us regarding the matter regarding Sword Rain Scholar, we would be walking right into his trap. Pack your things and get ready to leave. When Xian Long heard this, he quickly nodded. Right. Let's talk about it after we leave the Lorraine kingdom. Every day we stay in the Lorraine kingdom increases the danger. As for the things, this subordinate has already packed them. Packed? I remember that there are quite a number of divine weapons in the Divine Armament Tower. Right now, we are fleeing for our lives. How can we care about those things? Bringing valuables is already the limit. No need. Bring everything you need. I'll give you half a day to bring everything you need. But once we show any signs of leaving the royal capital, the third prince's residence will definitely surround us. Sing Hui shook his head and did not say anything. Instead, he raised the stage 3 divine weapon in his hand. This sword has been reborn in my hands, but it's still your spoils of war from Wanderer Golden Light. Give it a name. Xian Long was a little surprised to see Sing Hui take out the divine weapon. Immediately after, he seemed to have thought of something. Disbelief shot out from his eyes as he said with ecstasy, "Young master, you said that this sword has been reborn in your hands. Could it be?" Sing Hui gripped the sword and shook it. In the next moment, sword chi shot out from the sword, tearing a meter long and a foot-deep crack in the ground. Sword chi. Xian Long's eyes widened. Sword chi that could only be shot out by someone at the second level of the immortality realm? A stage 3 divine weapon is indeed a stage 3 divine weapon. It's a pity that I don't know the changes in the realm of true chi, so I can't perfectly grasp the mysteries contained in this divine weapon. Sing Hui said. Seeing Sing Hui use the power of the divine weapon to shoot out sword chi, Xian Long no longer had any doubts. His body couldn't help but tremble with excitement. I can't believe that young master only used 10 days to completely erase the spiritual imprint on this stage 3 divine weapon. I thought that young master would need at least 1 or 2 years. Good, this is great. Now we are saved. With this sword, young master will have no opponents in the awakening realm. As long as the elders in the royal family don't interfere, young master will be able to do whatever he wants in the entire Lorraine kingdom. Give it a name. Sing Hui said. Young master, seeing that Sing Hui was willing to give him the right to name such a divine weapon, Xian Long was touched. If he had been filled with resentment when he was forced to sign the primal chaos oath with Qing Su, then after witnessing Qing Su single-handedly subduing the entire union of demon hunters, he had actually gained a sliver of trust in Zhuo Qingxiu after countless years of upholding the principle of respect for the strong. His trust had increased by another level. This sword originally belonged to Golden Light Cultivator. Now that it has fallen into young master's hands, young master, with this sword, the Monster Hunter Union and the third prince will be like chickens and pottery dogs, not worth mentioning. Young master's soaring momentum will definitely be unstoppable. Why don't we call it Green Heaven Sword? Green Heaven. Green as in the blue sky. The sky that soars into the sky. Green Heaven. Good. From now on, this sword will be called Green Heaven. Sing Hui nodded. Go and prepare. If the third prince's people dare to stop us, I will let them know the benefits of Green Heaven. Yes. Xian Long replied confidently and quickly went to do as he was told. A third-level superior divine weapon could increase a blood-changing realm expert attack by 9 to 18 levels. Even for Sing Hui, who had just entered the first level of the immortality realm, it could at least increase an attack by 8 to 16 levels. The so-called 8th level increase was the lowest limit. Usually, it referred to divine weapons that a swordsman used that were completely incompatible with his own skills such as sabers, spears, and hammers. The divine weapon in Sing Hui's hands was a divine sword. Although Sing Hui could not unleash its full power, it was definitely not the lowest limit of the increase. At least the 10th level. It could even be the 11th or 12th level. It was because he understood this that Xian Long had such confidence in Sing Hui. The divine weapon tower began to pack up, as if they were planning to leave the Lorraine kingdom. This immediately attracted the attention of Zui Feng, who was monitoring the divine weapon tower. Weren't you extremely arrogant when you killed Sword Rain Scholar? Now you're scared and want to leave the kingdom? Dream on. Moreover, it's fine if you want to leave the kingdom, but you're actually greedy enough to want to pack up the precious goods in the divine weapon tower. You're simply courting death. Do you really think that the third prince would just watch you leave and not send anyone to chase after you? Zhuofeng sent the news to the third prince's residence while he sneered and allowed the people in the divine weapon tower to pack up. So what if they defeated a branch of the Demon Hunters Union? Since they dared to go against the third prince, they would soon understand what true despair was. Chapter 44. Half a day quickly passed. Xian long packed up the Divine Armament Building's valuables and filled 2 carriages. However, at this moment, there were only 6 members of the Divine Armament Tower left on both sides of the carriage, including Qin Hong, who had always been loyal to Xian Long and seemed to have feelings for him. The rest of the people had already fled when the third prince spread the news that he planned to deal with the Divine Armament Tower. "Young master, everything is ready. We can set off at any time. Then let's go. Once you're out of the city, we'll split up. Your destination is the Eastern Cloud Empire, the strongest country under the Hunyuan Heaven sect. I want you to reopen the Divine Armament Building there." Xinghui glanced at Xian Long. "You're too weak. Try to awaken your bloodline on the way to the Eastern Cloud Empire." "Yes." Xian Long's eyes dimmed. Without the Tai sword, he had no hope of awakening his bloodline. Breaking through to the awakening realm was indeed the best choice. Moreover, the Eastern Cloud Empire was one of the 3 empires under the Hunyuan Heaven sect's rule. The imperial capital was at the foot of the Hunyuan Heaven sect's mountain, and the royal family was unbelievably powerful. It was said that the patriarch of the royal family had cultivated Gangqi and stepped into the 3rd tier of the immortality realm. To build the Divine Armament Building in a country stronger than the Lorraine Kingdom, a blood transformation realm cultivation was clearly lacking. Don't be depressed. You cultivate the heavenly Peng unhindered art. Even if you unfortunately awaken a spirit beast bloodline, it will definitely be a top-notch one. Once awakened, you'll probably be as strong as Hunyuan. If you perform well, I may be able to obtain heavenly Peng blood essence for you in the future and help you advance further on the path of bloodline. Xian Long's spirits rose when he heard Xing Hui's promise. Xing Hui was a son of chaos, and from the fact that the Tai sword had suddenly transformed from a top-grade sword to a top-grade sword, it was very likely that he was a son of chaos above the 5th tier who had learned the advancement technique. A son of chaos above the 5th tier, wielding a 3rd-tier divine armament, and comprehending sword intent would definitely have accomplishments beyond his imagination. There was hope that he could obtain heavenly Peng blood essence in the future. "Yes, please rest assured, young master. This subordinate will do his best. The main reason I want you to go to the Eastern Cloud Empire is to find a way to collect the Divine Codex. If there's news of the Divine Codex, you must inform me as soon as possible." Godly Codex. Xian Long's pupils shrank. Who would have thought that his young master would be so ambitious to awaken the divine beast bloodline? "Everyone, where are you going?" Just as everyone was ready to set off, Zhuofeng, who had been secretly monitoring them, suddenly appeared outside the Divine Armament Tower. Accompanying him were 2 Wandi and 2 other guests in the Awakening Realm, Su Jiuying and Huabo. Since Wan Jianxian had yet to arrive, the third prince, Luo Tianying, had sent 2 more guests as reinforcements. As the 3 Awakening Realm elites appeared at the same time, Xinghui sensed several pairs of eyes looking in their direction through the tall buildings around Hunyuan. These gazes, those who could make Xinghui feel something, were all important figures in the Awakening Realm. In fact, this was indeed the case. In the tallest restaurant in Hunyuan, the owner of Hunyuan, Nangong Lai's family, the 10th Prince Luo Jianglu, the 12th Prince Luo Hechuan, the Princess of Qinghuan, and even the 1st Prince Luo Tianqing and Chief Guest Lu Yu, who thought that Xinghui was too unruly, were there. In addition to them, there were also representatives sent by other first-rate forces in King City. On this floor, there were more than 5 Awakening Realm elites gathered. It seems that the third prince is finally going to make a move. He sent 4 Awakening Realm elites at once. What a big move. Let's take this opportunity to see how much power the third prince has in his hands. I just don't know if this Cho Xinghui can test the third prince's trump card. Your Highness, it's not too late for us to save Cho Tsinghui now. I've made up my mind. There's no need to say more. The 12th prince on the side said regretfully, if Big Brother is willing to save Cho Tsinghui, he might still have a chance to live. But now, with the third brother's forces moving, he will definitely die. Haha, since 12th brother loves talent so much, why not do it yourself? The 12th prince, Luo Hunyuan, smiled bitterly. Big Brother, you know that I don't have many capable people under my command. How can they be a match for the third brother? If I let them go down rashly, it will only add to the losses. That's not necessarily true. 12th brother has gathered countless experts among the common people. God knows if there are any top figures among them. I think, among us brothers, you are the one who hides the deepest. Even the third prince is not as good as you. Luo Hunyuan quickly waved his hand. Big Brother, you must be joking. How can I compare to Big Brother and the third brother? Luo Tianqing shook his head and was about to say something, but at this moment, a guard suddenly said, His Highness the third prince is here. Wang Jianxian is with him. What? Wang Jianxian was actually persuaded by the third prince? I remember that Wang Jianxian usually only acts when the third prince is in real danger. It's obvious that the third prince wants to bully others. Why would he intervene? Since when did the third prince and Wang Jianxian have such a good relationship? Luo Tianqing exclaimed. Luo Jianglu, Luo Hunyuan, Princess Qingluan, Nangong Lai, and the others all looked at the guard. The guard did not dare to neglect and quickly explained, It is said that Wang Jianxian came for Cho Tsinghui. His Highness the third prince persuaded Wang Jianxian with the reason that Cho Tsinghui had comprehended the sword essence. Comprehended the sword essence? Luo Tianqing was a little surprised. Did Cho Tsinghui really comprehend the sword essence? Princess Qingluan pondered for a moment and said, We were there before Sword Rain Scholar died. At that time, he did shout the words sword essence. However, I'm not a swordsman, so I can't tell. Guard Master Nangong is an Awakening Realm expert. Can you tell if Cho Tsinghui used the sword essence when he defeated Sword Rain Scholar? The intent of the martial path is extremely wondrous. It's said that it's a prerequisite for cultivating supreme qi. Only with the intent of the martial path as a foundation can one collect true qi and refine qi into supreme qi. I've never seen such power before, so I can't tell whether Qing Su used sword intent or not. Nangong Lai shook his head. Since the cultivation of martial path intent is so difficult, I think Cho Tsinghui can't master it. I guess the spirit beast created by the visualization of the method he cultivates is more proficient in soul attacks. That's why Sword Rain Scholar mistook it for the Sword Rain Scholar. Luo Tianqing waved his hand. Whether it is or not, we will know when we continue watching. Big Brother is right. It would be a pity if he was still killed by the third prince after comprehending the sword essence. Who could be blamed? Cho Tsinghui is so ignorant. Even if he doesn't die in the third prince's hands, he will sooner or later die because he offends an enemy he can't afford to offend. It's just a matter of time. That's true. In the outer courtyard of the Divine Armament Tower, Zhuofeng and the others appeared. Tsinghui's gaze naturally fell on him. I don't want to be enemies with the third prince. Sword Rain Scholar is so aggressive and courting death. If the third prince really doesn't let it go, don't blame me for being merciless. I will kill as many people as he sends. Impudent. Zhuofeng's eyes sharpened. Cho Tsinghui, do you really think you are invincible? How dare you boast so shamelessly? If I want to leave, will you stop me? It's not that I want to stop you. Zhuofeng sneered. It is young Master Thousand Swords who intends to deal with you personally. Before that, you should stay here obediently, wash your neck clean, and wait for young Master Thousand Swords to come. To be able to die under young Master Thousand Swords' 10,000 swords art, you could be considered to have died a worthy death. So, you still want to stop me? Tsinghui stepped forward and unsheathed the green firmament sword in his hand. Those who stop me will die. So far, I haven't reached the top 10. Looking for recommendations in your hands. Looking for members to click, collect, and helped Qingfen. Chapter 45. How dare you take the initiative to attack? Do you really think I'm a fool like Sword Rain Scholar? Tu Wandi, Huabo, Juing Su attack together and suppress him. Let's wait for young Master Wan Jian to come and take his life. Seeing that Xing Hui actually took the initiative to draw his sword, Zhou Feng shouted and attacked. He awakened the Griffin bloodline, which also belonged to the category of spirit beasts. When he pounced, his momentum was majestic, and it even stirred up the wind and clouds outside the Divine Armament building. With Sword Rain Scholar's example, Tu Wandi, Huabo, and Juing Su would not take it lightly and quickly attacked. Tu Wandi was known as the Flame Demon, and his awakened spirit beast was named Flame. It was a kind of spirit beast with the bloodline of the ancient divine bird by Fawn. With this bloodline, not only did he attack with blazing waves, but he also had a speed far beyond the awakening realm. The remaining two, Huabo and Su Jiuying, were slightly inferior. They had only awakened ordinary beasts. However, with their cultivation in the awakening realm, their attacks were still earth-shattering. If they were to fight against ordinary blood-changing grandmasters, dozens of them would be easily defeated by the two of them. Prince Xing Hui, be careful. Seeing the power of the four awakening realm powerhouses, Qing Hong, who did not know Xing Hui's true ability, could not help but scream. But soon, her scream came to an abrupt end and was replaced by disbelief. What a pity. On the tall building of the Ing Garden, Luo Huchuan could not help but sigh again. And Princess Qing Wan turned her head to the side, as if she could not bear to see Xing Hui's miserable appearance. Who can be blamed? You can only blame Cho Xing Hui for not knowing the current situation. Luo Tianqing shook his head. After all, he's too young. In order to survive, what's the harm in kneeling and begging for mercy? If he could bear it at that time. Lu Yu's eyes were also full of regret. But soon, the unbearable, regretful, and long sigh in their eyes seemed to be suddenly frozen on the spot. Sword Chi. Swish. As Xing Hui leaped forward and unsheathed his sword, a dense sword aura erupted from the green cloud sword. It was as if it had turned into a tornado of sword aura. In an instant, it had reached the encirclement of the four awakening realm elites. Zhou Feng, who was the first to bear the brunt of the attack, had a claw that could destroy gold and crack stone. The airflow in the void seemed to explode from his claw, but when it collided with the sword chi of the green firmament sword, it was instantly defeated. His entire palm was twisted into a bloody mist, and a shrill scream suddenly sounded. Swish! The sword chi of the green cloud sword didn't stop at all as it crushed Zhou Feng's palm. With a violent shake, the sword chi turned around and headed straight for Tu Wandi, Huabo, and Su Jiuying, who were approaching with surging heat. With a sweep of the sword chi rustled. Under the burst of sword light, Tu Wandi, who was charging over, no matter if he was wearing a pair of gloves or claws, or his right hand that was holding a ranked divine sword or battle saber, all of them were shattered by the sword light. Bursts of sword chi shot out in all directions, instantly cutting several wounds on the bodies of the three people, causing blood to spurt out everywhere. What kind of sword is this? A high-level divine weapon. A high-level divine weapon. He's holding a high-level divine weapon. At the same time, shrill screams came from the mouths of the several awakening realm experts who were besieging Zhou Feng. The sword chi contained in the green cloud sword pressed forward, sweeping in all directions. Even the aftermath of the sword chi made their hair stand on end. Their tempered bodies were like pieces of tofu in front of the sword chi of such a high-level divine weapon. Everything would be shattered. The sharpness of a high-level divine weapon is not something we can resist at all. Retreat. Retreat quickly. This is not fair. All kinds of shouts came from the mouths of several awakening realm experts. Swish. On the other hand, the first prince, the 10th prince, the 12th prince, and the garden master Nangong Lai, the princess of Green Phoenix, the sword venerable Liu Yu, and the others who were following them were all shocked. One by one, they rushed to the railings of the building and stared at the high-level divine weapon in Tsing Hui's hand, their eyes wide open. A divine weapon. A high-level divine weapon. Level 3. This is at least a level 3 divine weapon. A divine sword that has reached the 3rd level. In the entire Lorraine Kingdom, only the royal family has a level 3 divine weapon as the most precious treasure of the kingdom. Now, Cho Tsing Hui actually has a level 3 divine weapon. Damn it, he actually has such a treasure in his hands. A level 3 divine weapon, and it's a divine sword that suits him as a swordsman. This is definitely enough to increase his combat strength to the 2nd level of the Awakening Realm. At this moment, whether it was the rather arrogant 1st Prince Luo Tiansheng or the regretful 12th Prince Luo Hechuan, they were all shocked. A level 3 divine weapon. For countries like the Lorraine Kingdom, it was an existence that could suppress the fate of a country. If any Awakening Realm expert had a level 3 divine weapon, they could dominate their peers. If that level 3 divine weapon was tailor-made for them, it would not be an extravagant hope to match the 2nd level of the 6th level of immortality. Now, such a divine weapon had appeared in Cho Tsing Hui's hands. Swish! Sword Chi rampaged. Tsing Hui's sword did not stop because of the shock of others. With one sword strike, Tsing Hui severely injured 4 Awakening Realm experts. He did not give them any time to react at all. His figure flew towards Su Jiuying, who was closest to him. Before the person arrived, the sword Chi arrived first. Wherever the sword tip went, the sword Chi was dense. Just blocking the sword Chi from the green cloud sword was enough to make Su Jiuying scream miserably. In an instant, 3 bloody wounds appeared on his body. When Tsing Hui arrived in front of him, the sword Chi contained in the green cloud sword had already pierced 4 bloody holes in his body. No! Swish! As the sword tip flashed, the green cloud sword cut through Su Jiuying's throat. And then, the sword Chi dissipated, and a head flew into the void with dark red blood dripping from it. Buzz! Buzz! The sword shook, and not a single drop of blood was stained. Then, the sword tip turned sharply and once again stabbed towards Tu Wandi. Stop! Stop for me! Tu Wandi, who had always been fearless, could not help but scream. His figure quickly retreated, trying to avoid the sword Chi. But it was no use. He could not block it at all. The sword Chi soared into the sky. Tsing Hui's figure moved horizontally and horizontally. The green cloud sword danced, and a sword Chi shot out, cutting Tu Wandi in half from a meter away. No matter how powerful Tu Wandi was, in front of such a fierce sword Chi, there was no room for him to use. After killing 2 Awakening Realm experts in a row, his figure suddenly turned and pierced through the void like a meteor piercing the moon. Boom! Hua Bo, who had already escaped from Tsing Hui's attack range, suddenly froze in horror. The sharp sword Chi penetrated his back, pierced his heart, and shot out, taking away his life. Afterwards, Ching Su stomped off the ground again and rose into the air. He swung his sword and retreated as quickly as possible. Zhuo Feng, who had already left the outer courtyard, cried out miserably as his legs were severed. No! 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 Zhuo Feng, who had fallen to the ground, did not have time to scream and beg for mercy. Tsing Hui's sword flew towards him. Although Zhuo Feng was still 6 meters away, the sword Chi on the green cloud sword had already activated on its own. Accompanied by a cold light, a bloody hole appeared between Zhuo Feng's eyebrows. The sword Chi pierced through his head and shot into the ground behind his head, leaving a sword mark. 4 Awakening Realm experts were dead. Chapter 46. Seeing the 4 honorable guests of the 3rd prince's residence, including 2 upper honorable guests who had cultivated to the middle stage of the Awakening Realm, were killed by Tsing Hui in less than 10 breaths with the power of the divine sword. Everyone on the roof of the Ing Garden building gasped. Dead. The 4 honorable guests are all dead. A 3rd stage divine weapon, This is the power of a third-stage divine weapon. A third-stage divine weapon has actually reached the level where it can stimulate Gang Chi. If it is used by an expert of the second level of the immortality realm, the Gang Chi bursts out, and the power is more terrifying than a simple sword chi. Why would it need a second sword to kill a cultivator of the first level of the awakening realm? It's simply a sword chi that disdains everything. A third-stage divine weapon is already so terrifying. It is said that when a divine weapon reaches the fourth stage, as long as its compatibility with the user reaches the peak, it can be integrated into the genuine chi. I really don't know how powerful a divine weapon of that level will be. Nangong Lai, Liu Yu, and the others trembled in their hearts. In front of such a top divine weapon, their cultivation that they were proud of was like a chicken or a pottery dog, unable to withstand a single blow. It was no wonder that every time a high-level divine weapon appeared, it was easy to set off a bloody storm, and countless top experts would risk their lives to snatch it. Those high-level divine weapons had the qualifications to make them risk everything. Opportunity. Opportunity. Cho Tsing Hui must have obtained a great opportunity. It is said that Cho Tsing Hui's cultivation was only in the marrow cleansing realm half a year ago, but now, without revealing his divine weapon, his combat power is not weaker than that of the awakening realm. He must have obtained a great opportunity. It is precisely because of this opportunity that he can grow from the marrow cleansing realm to this level in just half a year. A third-stage divine weapon. If I can use this third-stage divine weapon, and with my cultivation of the top spiritual beast bloodline awakened, who in the entire royal family can be my opponent except for a few patriarchs? When the time comes to compete for the throne, who could be compared with me? Luo Tianqing's heart was full of struggle. Brother, should we immediately report to the patriarchs? If the patriarchs are willing to help and ask for the divine weapon of the royal family, we can definitely make Cho Tsing Hui stay. At that time, this third-stage divine weapon will be in the Luo family's pocket, and the two of us will have made a great contribution. It's useless. If the patriarchs really take this third-stage divine weapon, Nailin Fei will definitely not let it go. She will definitely kill our royal family and force us to hand over the weapon. Don't forget, Nailin Fei has a family behind her. This third-stage divine weapon may eventually fall into the hands of nameless experts, or may fall into the hands of Nailin Fei, or even the Nailin family. But in the end, it will of the family. It will of our family, Luos. If he had known earlier that Zhuo Qingshu possessed a level 3 magic weapon, he would have protected him first. Then, when Zhuo Qingshu was unprepared, he would have taken the weapon for himself. At that time, it would have been a piece of cake for him to sit on the throne of the Lorraine Kingdom. But now, they could only watch helplessly as the level 3 divine weapon slipped out of their hands. But the 10th Prince Luo Jianglu knew that he couldn't win against the first prince, the 3rd prince, and the 12th prince, so he was quite open-minded and insisted on watching the show to the end. He smiled and said, Cho Tsing Hui has a third-stage divine weapon. This is interesting. I wonder how third brother will deal with Cho Tsing Hui, who has a third-stage divine weapon. Now that 4 guests have died, and more than half of third brother's experts have died, if Wang Jianxian also dies in the hands of Cho Tsing Hui, then it will be interesting. The moment these words came out, the expressions on the faces of the princes became interesting. Originally, they weren't optimistic about Cho Tsing Hui, so they only felt pity for Cho Tsing Hui when they came to watch the show. But now, things were different. Cho Tsing Hui, who had a third-stage divine weapon, could completely turn the situation around. Not to mention the guests under the 3rd prince. Even Wang Jianxian would die if he came personally. Apart from an immortal 2nd-stage void refinement expert, who could stop Cho Tsing Hui, who had a 3rd-stage divine weapon? According to what you said, I really can't wait. I just don't know if Wang Jianxian has the courage to fight against an immortal 2nd-stage swordsman with a 3rd-stage divine weapon. Wang Jianxian is conceited, but that doesn't mean he's a fool. A 3rd-stage divine weapon can't be stopped by a true Qi realm expert. Unless Wang Jianxian has reached the true Qi realm and taken that crucial step, he definitely won't have the courage to fight against Cho Tsing Hui with a third-stage divine weapon. We will definitely see the third prince make a fool of himself. It's a pity that the third-stage divine weapon can't be used by us. At this moment, everyone's gaze towards Tsing Hui became complicated without exception, especially Princess Hunyuan. She even thought that if she had stood on Tsing Hui's side yesterday, would she have been able to pull him into the 12th prince's camp? With the help of such a top figure with a third-stage divine weapon, the 12th prince would be able to suppress the first prince and the third prince. If she could persuade Cho Tsing Hui to give the third-stage divine weapon to the royal family, this huge contribution would be enough to push the 12th prince to the throne. Unfortunately, at that time, she only thought that Tsing Hui would definitely die. She didn't consider this. Now, it was too late for regrets. The divine sword returned to its sheath. The sharp sword aura in the courtyard dissipated. Xian Long, Qing Hong, and the rest, who were originally frightened and almost suffocated by the sword aura, heaved a sigh of relief. Too strong. The third-stage divine weapon is too strong. Just the sword aura from the sword is enough to make any immortal realm expert unrivaled in the same realm. Xian Long looked at the green firmament sword in Tsing Hui's hand, his eyes filled with passion. No wonder weapon forgers have such a high status in the cultivation world. Even if it's an immortal realm expert, as long as they can refine a third-stage divine weapon, it's enough to be on the same level as the elders of the 10 great holy lands. With a large amount of third-stage divine weapons, it's easy to destroy a city. Let's go. I believe that no one will dare to stop us now. Tsing Hui glanced at the surroundings. Instantly, countless terrified figures fled in all directions as if they were fleeing for their lives. The third prince naturally didn't just send the 4 great guests to keep an eye on him. Other than the 4 great guests, there were also many marrow cleansing realm, viscera refining realm, and even blood-changing rel people running errands. Tsing Hui was too lazy to chase and kill these people. Yes, Xian Long, who received Tsing Hui's order, responded respectfully and immediately waved his hand. Under the respectful gazes of the other viscera refining and blood-changing realm experts in the Divine Armament Tower, the caravan slowly moved and headed out of the Luo Lin Kingdom. The rest of the journey was just as Tsing Hui had said. It was calm and peaceful. No one came out to stop them. It was as if the vicious words the third prince had said a day ago were just empty words. Under the watchful eyes of many ordinary forces who did not know what had happened in the courtyard of the Divine Armament Tower, the small group of 8 people slowly drove out of the street and out of the city. Chapter 47. The battle at the Divine Armament Tower naturally couldn't be hidden from the true ruler of the Lorraine Kingdom. At this time, in the royal court of the Lorraine Kingdom, the current Emperor Luo Jiuzhou, whose cultivation had reached the late stage of the awakening realm, was holding a piece of information and handing it to the 3 royal ancestors in front of him with a look of surprise. Good news, good news! A rank 3 divine armament has appeared in our Lorraine Kingdom. This is a great opportunity for the Lorraine Kingdom. While the 3 ancestors were flipping through the information, Luo Jiuzhou couldn't wait to ask, Ancestor Yin Xiao, Ancestor Tianming, Ancestor Yoha, this matter can only be solved by the 3 of you. A rank 3 divine armament has appeared in our Lorraine Kingdom. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Even if this person has some background, as long as we do it secretly, we may be able to take this rank 3 divine armament for ourselves. Rank 3 divine armament. The 3 royal ancestors looked at each other and saw the surprise in each other's eyes. Yes, a rank 3 divine armament. Although this Cho Tsing Hui has Nalan Fei behind him, even if she really pursues the matter, our Lorraine royal family may not be afraid of her. Wait, who are you talking about? Nalan Fei? Hunyuan Heaven Sex True, disciple Nalan Fei? Before Luo Jiuzhou finished speaking, he was immediately interrupted by Ancestor Yin Xiao. That's right, it's Nalan Fei. Although Nalan Fei has the Nalan family behind her, the Nalan family's influence is far away in the Eastern Cloud. It's so far away from our Lorraine kingdom. As long as we act quickly and muddy the waters without leaving any traces behind, this rank 3 divine weapon will already be in the hands of the Lorraine royal family by the time they react. No, Ancestor Yun Shao hurriedly said. Damn it, Jojo, your third son actually had a conflict with Cho Tsinghui. Ancestor Tianming's face was also very ugly after reading the information. Luo Jojo couldn't help but be puzzled by the two ancestors' expressions. Yes, what's wrong, ancestors? This Cho Tsinghui has Nalan Fei behind him. We're in big trouble. Nalan Fei, so what? Although she's a true disciple of the Hunyuan Heaven sect, it's not like we're directly offending her by dealing with Cho Tsinghui. If she dares to come to our Luo Lin kingdom and act presumptuously, we might be able to fight back with reason. That's a stage 3 divine weapon we're talking about. Offending a true disciple for a stage 3 divine weapon shouldn't be a big deal, right? Nothing much. There's something you don't know. Patriarch Tianming looked at Luo Jiuzhou with a solemn expression and said in disbelief, 2 days ago, news came from the Hunyuan Heaven sect that Nalan Fei, who began closed-door cultivation 3 months ago, finally came out 10 days ago. Her cultivation has reached the 3rd stage of the longevity stage, and she was personally received by the Hunyuan Heaven Sect Sectmaster and was rewarded with a Grade 4 divine weapon. Level 4 divine weapon. Luo Jiuzhou suddenly raised his voice, and his eyes were full of shock. Yes, it's a Grade 4 divine weapon. Such a treasure could be used as the most precious treasure of the Nalan family. With this Grade 4 divine weapon, even if Nalan Fei had just reached the 3rd stage of the longevity stage, she would have the combat strength of an experienced expert of the Gangqi realm. Ancestor Tianming's words were full of surprises. Moreover, this is nothing. Don't forget one thing. Although Nalan Fei has cultivated to the 3rd level of the longevity realm and condensed her Gangqi, she is only 36 years old. She still has 64 years to go before the 100-year lifespan of a successor disciple. If she can make further progress during this period and become a peak master, Luo Jiuzhou's heart trembled violently. A peak master was an invincible figure who could establish a force. If they wanted to, it would be easy for them to establish a kingdom similar to the Lorraine kingdom. Back then, the Luo clan was in such a good position because of the birth of a peak master. However, following the accidental death of that ancestor, the Luo clan had deteriorated with each generation. Until now, they had been completely excluded from the core circle of the Hunyuan Heaven sect. Who knew how long they would be able to sit on the throne of the Lorraine kingdom? If they offended a true disciple with limitless potential who even had hopes of becoming a peak master in the future. Thinking of this terrible consequence, Luo Jiuzhou trembled all over. Even if Nalan Fei hasn't broken through to the Qi cultivation stage and has the support of the Nalan family, we don't dare to offend her easily, let alone now that she has stepped into the 3rd stage of the longevity stage. Nalan Fei values friendship very much. Half a year ago, because of Cho Tsinghui, she didn't hesitate to fight with an elder until the end. That elder was so embarrassed that he was covered in dirt. It can be seen that she values Cho Tsinghui a lot. Even if Cho Tsinghui disappeared without a trace, she still sent her maid to stay in the Lorraine kingdom to search for him day and night. If we really do something to Cho Tsinghui, it will definitely arouse the wrath of Nalan Fei, the true disciple at the peak of her power. Luo Jiuzhou was so shocked by the potential of a strong man of the 3rd order of longevity who was less than 40 years old that he broke out in a cold sweat. His greed for the 3rd order magic weapon was thrown out of his mind, and he quickly responded, I will send someone to protect him personally. I will not let him have any accident in our Lorraine kingdom. No, you can't send someone. Go there yourself. Ancestor Nether River, who had been silent all this time, suddenly said, What? Luo Jiuzhou was a little confused. However, Ancestor Tianming seemed to think of something and suddenly said, Yes, We have neglected this point. Not only will we be tempted by the third stage magic weapon, but other forces will also not turn a blind eye to it. If we don't take a good attitude, once something happens to Cho Tsing Hui, Nail and Fei will very likely vent her anger on us, especially your third son who has just had a conflict with Cho Tsing Hui. Jiuzhou, you have to do this in person. Not only do you have to do it, but you have to do it beautifully. Nail and Fei can't find any fault with it, and Cho Tsing Hui will be satisfied. And that third son of yours. Ancestor Yin Xiao also said with a trace of coldness in his eyes, a person who has cultivated qi into gang qi and has a four-stage magic weapon is more than enough to destroy the Lorraine royal family. Think about the consequences if something happens to Cho Tsing Hui in the hands of your third son. What is the point of keeping such an ignorant son who wants to destroy the Lorraine royal family? My third son. He has the backing of the 10,000 Swords Mountain. Luo Jiuzhou smiled bitterly. The 10,000 Swords Mountain? So what if it's the 10,000 Swords Mountain? If he angers Nail and Fei, who is currently at the peak of her power, how difficult would it be for her to destroy the 10,000 Swords Mountain? However, for the sake of the 10,000 Swords Mountain, he can be spared from death, but he can't escape punishment. Deal with him as you see fit. If you can't manage the Lorraine kingdom well, I'll let others do it. Your brothers who are in charge of a region may not be inferior to you in terms of ability. Hearing this, Luo Jiuzhou's heart trembled. He hurriedly promised loudly, yes, I'll do it right away. I'll definitely give the ancestors a satisfactory explanation. Chapter 48. Haha, he actually admitted defeat. Upstairs, Luo Tianqing couldn't help but laugh as he watched the third prince indifferently allowing Tsing Hui's group to leave. What else can he do? Does he dare to send Wan Jianxian to deal with Zhuo Qingxiu? Wan Jianxian is the most treasured disciple of Myriad Sword's Peak and has been called the most outstanding figure in the past century. Having such a disciple serving in the third prince's residence is more symbolic than practical. If third brother really dares to send Wan Jianxian to fight Zhuo Qingxiu, he can only wait for Myriad Sword's Peak to give up their support. Luo Hunyuan said with a smile, there's no other way. Who told Cho Tsing Hui to have a third-level divine weapon? Princess Qingwan said with some envy. Third-level divine weapon. If this third-level divine weapon could be mine, 10th Prince Luo Jianglu was moved. However, his extravagant words were interrupted by the first Prince Luo Tianqing without hesitation. Don't even think about it. With your abilities, you won't be able to protect a level 3 divine weapon. The best outcome is to offer it to father in exchange for a reward. Luo Jiangliu's face was faintly red. Obviously, he was choked by Luo Tianqing's words. But Luo Tianqing was powerful and he didn't really have a third-level divine weapon, so he didn't dare to refute. Luo Huchuan watched Qing Su's figure disappear into the street and muttered to himself, putting aside whether or not Zhuo Qingxiu can keep this third-level divine weapon, he was able to fight against the awakening stage of the longevity stage when he was in the blood-changing stage. Moreover, he is suspected to have comprehended sword will. Once he enters the awakening stage, his future will be limitless. What a pity. I couldn't take advantage of the third prince's oppression to help him in his hour of need and befriend him. Princess Qingwan looked at the regretful Luo Huchuan and whispered, compared to the other princes, we already have a lot of advantages. Young Master Cho Tsing Hui wanted the information of the Demon Hunters Union, so I sent it to him early in the morning. It can be considered a good karma. If we have a chance to meet again in the future, with this favor, we won't have no way to meet. Luo Huchuan's eyes lit up when he heard this. Good. Sister Qingwan, you've done well. I'll have to trouble you to follow up on this matter. If Zhuo Qingxiu ever returns to the Lorraine Kingdom, we must treat him well. Rest assured, brother, I understand. Damn! In a carriage not far from the Yin Garden, the third prince, Luo Tianning, who was originally full of confidence that he could direct a good show to let people see how strong he was now full of anger, unwillingness, and grievance. He had announced that he wanted to deal with Cho Tsing-hui in a high-profile manner. He originally wanted to make an example out of Cho Tsing-hui, but he didn't expect that in the end. Not only did he fail, but he also lost a handful of rice. Not only did he lose face, but he also lost 4 of his 8 guests. Including the sword rain scholar who was killed by Tsing-hui yesterday, there were 5 of them. The good situation could be said to have been destroyed by Tsing-hui alone. If curses could kill, he would have already turned Tsing-hui into ashes. All right, don't be so angry. In the carriage, Wang Jianxian, who was dressed in white and looked very elegant, sat cross-legged. His eyes flashed. This matter may not be completely a bad thing. This is not a bad thing. 5 of my 8 guests died, and almost all of us were wiped out. This is not a bad thing. Not to mention the eldest and the 12th, even the 4th, 6th, and 10th brothers have a right to behave atrociously on my head. Luo Taning was furious. Calm down. There may be a chance for a turnaround. Zhuo Qingxiu should never have revealed the existence of his rank 3 divine weapon. It would have been fine if he had only been using it in secret, but now that we have found out about it, our myriad swords peak will never allow a rank 3 divine weapon to wander about in the outside world. Wang Jinshuan's words stunned Luo Tianying. Then, as if he had thought of something, his eyes lit up. You plan to ask the Grand Elder of the 10,000 Swords Mountain to make a move. That's right. Wang Jinshan nodded and raised his voice a little. My 10,000 Swords Mountain's combined power is actually not much inferior to the Lorraine royal family. However, because the Hunyuan Heaven sect is not related to us, and we do not have a sect protecting treasure, we have always been suppressed by the royal family. Now, that Cho Tsing-hui has a rank 3 divine weapon. This is a heaven-sent opportunity for our 10,000 Swords Mountain. As long as I send the news back to the sect, our Grand Elder will definitely personally take action. When the time comes, won't killing Cho Tsing-hui be a piece of cake for us? Luo Taning immediately grew excited at Wang Jinshuan's words. Yes, yes, yes. With the Grand Elder of the 10,000 Swords Mountain taking action, that little bastard will die even if he has a rank 3 divine weapon. Why aren't you sending a message to the elders? If you're too late, we'll miss out on the rank 3 divine weapon. Wang Jinshin glanced at Luo Tianying. If not for his relationship with the 10,000 Swords Mountain, such an arrogant person would not be worthy of their support. Go now. If they went now, wouldn't they be telling the world that the 10,000 Swords Mountain was behind this? If Nalan Fei and the family behind Nalan Fei pursued the matter, how could the 10,000 Swords Mountain bear the consequences? They had to muddy the waters first before the 10,000 Swords Mountain could make a move. At the very least, they had to use the Lorraine royal family as a shield. All right, the 10,000 Swords Mountain has its own plans. When Cho Tsing-hui and the rest leave the city, immediately go see your father and tell him that Cho Tsing-hui has a rank 3 divine weapon. This matter has to be carried out openly. There's no need for that. My father has eyes and ears everywhere. I'm afraid that the news of Cho Tsing-hui having a rank 3 divine weapon is already on his desk. If I tell you to go, then go. Do you still want to kill Cho Tsing-hui for revenge? Of course. Luo Tianying frowned. He was quite dissatisfied with Wang Jinshuan's tone. However, considering that the experts in the residence were almost all dead and he still had to rely on Wang Jinshuan's strength, he could only endure it. I'll go see my father in a moment. Wang Jinshan replied. In reality, there was no need for Luo Tianying to openly report that Tsing-hui had a rank 3 divine weapon. As the strongest of the princes, Luo Tianying's every move was closely watched by many people. Naturally, everyone knew that Tsing-hui was related to them. When Tsing-hui relied on his rank 3 divine weapon to kill the 4 awakening experts of the 3rd prince's residence, all the factions in the Lorraine royal capital who thought they had the qualifications to obtain a rank 3 divine weapon were ready to make a move. For a time, a storm cloud slowly gathered after Tsing-hui and his group who had left the Lorraine royal capital. However, just as this storm was about to take shape and completely pounce on Cho Tsing-hui and his group, the emperor of the Lorraine kingdom suddenly moved. The consecrators of the consecration hall came out in full force and instantly took control of the situation in the Lorraine royal capital. As the ruler of the Lorraine kingdom, Luo Jiuzhou immediately led the elites of the palace and rushed straight toward the third prince and his group, who were still unwilling to give up. The third prince, who had just separated from Wang Jinxian and had not even had time to breathe, was directly surrounded by the palace guards led by Luo Jiuzhou. "Father, what are you doing?" Luo Tianning, who was restrained by two awakening realm experts, instinctively felt that something was wrong. Seeing his father step into his residence angrily, he hurriedly stepped forward to greet him. "Bastard!" However, as soon as he opened his mouth, Luo Jiuzhou slapped him without hesitation. Slap! How heavy was the slap of a late-stage, awakening realm powerhouse? The third prince himself had not yet stepped into the awakening realm. He was only at the peak of the blood-changing realm, and he relied on treasures of heaven and earth to reach this realm. Facing Luo Jiuzhou's slap, he spat out blood and flew out. For a time, the third prince, who had just suffered a blow, was completely stunned. "Do you want to anger me to death? Break his legs for this prince." "Father." Luo Tianning had already suffered a great loss at the hands of Chou Tsinghui. Now, seeing that his father was not going to uphold justice for him, he was going to break his legs. An unprecedented fear suddenly surged in his heart. Crack! Ah! The next moment, a shrill scream came out of Luo Tianning's mouth. Luo Jiuzhou did not even look at Luo Tianning, as if he was not his son at all. He waved his hand fiercely and strode out of the third prince's residence. He said sternly, "Bring him here. Catch up with Chou Tsinghui, Child Zhua, and make him kneel and beg for forgiveness." Chapter 49. Tsinghui was naturally unaware of the changes in Lorraine City. At this moment, he had already led the people from the Divine Armament Tower out of the Lorraine royal capital. However, due to the delay in the transmission of the news, there were still quite a number of people following behind them. It was as if they couldn't forget about the level 3 divine weapon in Tsinghui's hands. "All right, take your men and head to the Eastern Cloud Empire. I'm going alone," Tsinghui said. Xian Long also felt something. He understood that he would only be a burden if he followed his young master. He immediately bowed respectfully and said, "Young master, please take care. Remember to break through to the awakening realm as soon as possible and reopen the Divine Armament building. In the future, meet me at the Chaos Temple every week and report to me about the collection of the Divine Grimoire." "Yes, young master." Speaking of this, Xian Long seemed to have thought of something. He hesitated for a moment and said, "Sir, it's not easy to buy divine codices in the Eastern Barren Territory. After all, the 10 sacred clans are too strict. If you want divine codices, I'm afraid you have to make a move in the Chaos Shrine." "Chaos Temple?" "The Chaos Temple doesn't seem to be able to trade items." "You can't trade items, but the Tier 25 Son of Chaos Incarnation technique doesn't have such a restriction. The incarnation technique is somewhat similar to the consciousness projection of those legendary powerhouses. As long as you have a set of coordinates, you can project your power hundreds of millions of kilometers away. Although the further you go, the greater the consumption and the weaker you'll be, it's not difficult at all if you just want to collect Taoist rhymes and complete a trade." Xian Long's words made Tsinghui's eyes light up. Tao rhyme. Collecting items that contain Taoist rhythms can be exchanged for a divine codex. How many Taoist rhythms does a divine codex require? The market price of an ordinary divine codex is only 5 Taoist rhymes, and there's still room for negotiation. After all, those who have reached the 25th level of primal chaos are all top-notch almighties, and to them, ordinary divine codices might not be that valuable. It's said that there are times when some almighties take a liking to you and will even teach you for free, but the possibility of that happening is too low. Going up, the price will increase exponentially according to the grade of the divine codex. A transcendent divine codex requires 100 Taoist rhymes, which is the entire primal chaos level. 100 Taoist rhymes can be exchanged for a supreme scripture. Tsing Hui asked. Xian Long was stunned by Tsing Hui's words. After a while, he said in disbelief, 100 Taoist rhymes. That's an entire primal chaos rank. If it weren't for the fact that there are too few transcendent scriptures, no one would exchange for them. Is that so? Tsing Hui had forgotten about this. His Taoist rhymes were obtained by 1 point a day. It was too simple. Therefore, he didn't have any direct feelings towards 100 points of Taoist rhymes. It's not easy to obtain supreme treasures that contain the aura of Tao. Every single item that contains the aura of Tao is enough to cause the elders, hall masters, and even sect masters of the 10 sacred grounds to fight over them. Obtaining them all depends on luck. Many sons of chaos only obtain 1 or 2 items that contain the aura of Tao in their entire lives. At this point, Xian Long laughed bitterly. At least I've been a son of chaos for many years. Let alone obtaining an item that contains the aura of Tao. I've never even heard of it. Of course, this could also be because those sons of chaos would quickly hand over an item that contains the aura of Tao to their elders or use it for themselves. After all, such an item is simply a source of disaster for those without strength and forces. Most of those at the 25th level of the primal chaos rank are in the infinite wasteland region. Moreover, the price of projecting an avatar to the eastern wasteland region is not small. Even a peak 6th level saint would have to spend more than half a month recuperating to use the avatar technique. Moreover, how difficult is it to obtain the aura of Tao? With only a small amount of the aura of Tao, would those top figures be willing to use the avatar technique to project it over? A son of chaos only has 1 item that contains the aura of Tao. What if a dozen or so sons of chaos gathered together? A dozen or so sons of chaos gathered together. Xian Long nodded. The sons of chaos actually have their own organizations. Generally, they are presided over by a personal space owner. The gathering point is the personal space of that son of chaos. After each of them has the aura of Tao, they will discuss a meeting location. When the aura of Tao in the organization has reached a certain level, they will notify top figures with good reputation to conduct transactions with them. Oh, aren't they afraid of spies sneaking in and being caught in one net? Of course, such things happen, and they can't be avoided. Therefore, every organization that joins the organization has to go through a strict test. If one person goes wrong, the entire organization will be implicated. Xian Long paused slightly at this point. In fact, I'm a member of a primal chaos organization. If young master trusts me, I can recommend you to join this organization as a guarantor. However, this organization doesn't have many transactions. It usually takes 1 or 2 years to accumulate enough aura of Tao to conduct a transaction with a certain almighty. Sure. As Tsing Hui spoke, he glanced behind him. The next moment, his figure leaped. Like a meteor striking the moon, he rushed 100 meters away in an instant. 100 meters away, the viscera refining and blood-changing experts who were monitoring the movements of Tsing Hui's group from afar thought that they were very skilled and were very secretive. When they saw Tsing Hui rushing toward them, they were all scared out of their wits. Unfortunately, facing Tsing Hui, who could even kill Awakening Realm experts, even if they were in the Awakening Realm, as long as they were not the best in the Awakening Realm, they would still die when facing Tsing Hui, not to mention that they were only in the viscera refining and blood-changing realms. Swish! Sword light crisscrossed. 23 viscera refining and blood-changing realm experts, who represented unknown forces, were brazenly killed. The few remaining people fled back into the city as fast as they could, not daring to appear in front of Tsing Hui again. Let's split up here. Tsing Hui's figure flashed and returned to Xian Long's side. Yes, young master. Xian Long looked at Tsing Hui gratefully. He knew that Sing Hui had killed those people to intimidate the forces behind them, so that they would not dare to act rashly. Secondly, he had revealed the green firmament sword to let everyone know that the rank 3 divine weapon they needed was in Sing Hui's hands. 3 days later, I'll meet you at the same place in the Chaos Temple. Young master, be careful on the way. It's a small matter. I'll erase the spiritual imprint on the rank 4 flying sword. If they want to take the rank 3 divine weapon from me, they better do it as soon as possible. If they're still indifferent after 4 or 5 days, then don't blame me for not keeping them company. Rank 4 flying sword. Sing Hui was able to erase the spiritual imprint on the rank 3 divine weapon, the green firmament sword. Naturally, he could erase the spiritual imprint on the rank 4 flying sword. Once the spiritual imprint on the rank 4 flying sword was erased, he would be able to fly on the sword and enter the sky. By then, apart from awakening realm powerhouses who rode rank 2 and rank 3 spirit beasts and cultivators who also had flying swords, he would be able to go anywhere in the world. After understanding this, Xian Long immediately relaxed. If that's the case, then I won't travel with young master. Young master, please rest assured. After leaving the Lorraine Kingdom's territory, I will begin to adjust my condition and attack the awakening realm. I won't cause any trouble for young master. Sing Hui nodded and waved at him, about to leave on his horse. But at this moment, a group of dozens of people quickly rushed over from the Lorraine city. Before they arrived, their voices were already heard. There was a hint of flattery in their tone. Prince Sing Hui, please wait. Prince Sing Hui, please wait. Chapter 50. Sing Hui, who was about to leave, frowned and paused. But he still said to Xian Long, "If there is danger, you go first." "Yes, child." Xian Long understood that if something happened that Sing Hui couldn't solve, they would be a burden if they stayed here. Prince Sing Hui, Prince Sing Hui. Soon, a group of people approached from afar. When Xian Long clearly saw the leader of the group, who should have been full of majesty, but now had a kind face and even a trace of flattery, it was as if he had seen an inconceivable scene. He couldn't help but rub his eyes, as if he was hallucinating. Looking at his dressing, he should be a member of the royal family of Lorraine. If he sends an ancestor of the royal family who is in the 2nd level of the longevity realm, he may be able to fight with me. But is he in the 1st level of the longevity realm? Does he want to die? Sing Hui slowly put his right hand on the hilt of the Qingxiao sword. "Ah, no, Prince Sing Hui, this is the emperor of the Lorraine Kingdom." Xian Long saw that Sing Hui mistakenly thought that this person was a hunter hired by the 3rd prince. So he was scared and said quickly, "The emperor of the Lorraine Kingdom?" Sing Hui was slightly stunned. At this time, Luo Jojo had already come to a place less than 10 meters away from Sing Hui. Under the gaze of Xian Long, Qing Hong and others, who widened their eyes as if they had seen a ghost, he bowed to Sing Hui with a smile. "Greetings, Prince Sing Hui." Sing Hui was still vigilant, holding the sword with one hand. "I wonder why the monarch of the Lorraine Kingdom stopped me? If you are here to avenge your son, I, Sing Hui, will accept it. How dare I? I am here to apologize to Prince Sing Hui." Luo Jojo said and shouted to the subordinates behind him, "Bring that unfilial son here." "Yes." One of the Awakening Realm worshippers responded. Soon, a wailing man was brought to the front of the crowd by 2 great worshippers. They threw him to the ground. This man looked like he had been in a high position for a long time. He had a graceful and luxurious temperament. However, his legs were clearly broken and his face was twisted in pain. Naturally, he no longer had any elegance. After being thrown to the ground by the 2 consecrators, he screamed in pain again. This is the 3rd prince." Xian Long was slightly startled. Then, he confirmed with a startled look, "Yes, this is His Highness the 3rd prince. I once saw him from afar. There is no doubt that he is the 3rd prince, but how could he? It is precisely that unfilial son of mine. That unfilial son actually dared to offend Prince Sing Hui. His crime is truly unforgivable. After I found out about this matter, I was furious. I specially ordered people to break his legs and have him come to beg for forgiveness from you, Prince Xinghui. As for how to punish him, Prince Xinghui, I will not complain in the slightest. Luo Jiuzhou smiled and cupped his hands. Then he turned to Luo Tianning and said sternly, "Kneel down." At this time, Luo Tianning was simply about to cry. Originally, he had mobilized a large number of people to take revenge on Chou Xinghui for killing Sword Rain Scholar. When everyone knew about it, Xinghui had killed most of the experts in his residence. His vitality was greatly damaged, and his reputation was ruined. However, because of the third-level magic weapon, he did not dare to take revenge. He could only pin his hopes on the Myriad Swords Mountain, who had always looked down on him. One could imagine the grievance and anger in his heart. When he finally returned to his own residence, he didn't even have time to drink water before his entire residence was surrounded by his father's men. Before he could figure out what was going on, he was slapped in the face. Following that, his legs were broken, causing him, who had lived a life of luxury since he was young, to faint from the pain. Now that he had finally woken up, he was forced by his father to kneel down and apologize to Chou Xinghui, who had brought him endless humiliation in front of so many people. The humiliation aside, the key point was his legs were broken. How could he kneel down? Fortunately, at this time, Luo Jiuzhou realized that there was something wrong with his statement. He looked a little embarrassed, but he immediately turned to the two consecrators, hold him down, and kneel down. Let Prince Xinghui deal with him. Yes, the two guardians restrained Luo Tianning and could only keep him in a kneeling position. Even so, Luo Tianning was still humiliated to be forced to kneel in front of Qing Su in front of so many people. What terrified him even more was that his father, Luo Jiuzhou, was treating him like this. Was there still a chance for him to take the throne of the Lorraine kingdom? Could he still keep his identity as a prince? Luo Jiuzhou had more than a dozen children. It did not matter if he had one more or one less. Once he lost his identity as a prince, what was Luo Tianning? After figuring this out, he really trembled in fear. Monarch Luo, what do you mean? Xinghui's eyes fell on Luo Jiuzhou. Xinghui was not the only one who wanted to know this question. Behind Luo Jiuzhou, the eldest Prince Luo Tiancheng, the 10th Prince Luo Jianglu, and the 12th Prince Luo Hunyuan also couldn't wait to know the answer. What happened on Earth that made the monarch of the Luolin kingdom put justice before family to please Chou Xinghui and quench his anger? This unfilial son deserves to die for being disobedient. Prince Xinghui, don't worry about me. Just punish him as you wish. Speaking of this, Luo Jiuzhou lowered his voice slightly. Prince Xinghui, please put in a good word for us in front of Miss Naylan when you see her. I really didn't know that Prince Xinghui was a member of Miss Naylan's family. Otherwise, as early as the first day, when Prince Xinghui entered Yunwu City, we should have invited Prince Xinghui to the palace as a host. Although Luo Jiuzhou's voice was low, several princes close to him, as well as Exan Long and others, still heard it clearly. For a moment, they were all at a loss. Naylan Fei? Naylan Fei was just an inherited disciple who ranked less than 300. How could she make the entire Luolin royal family bow down to her? However, Xinghui was surprised at first, and then he quickly thought of something. He remembered that Yu Shanshan seemed to have said before leaving, Naylan Fei took the key step and broke through the cultivation, the third level of the longevity realm, refining qi into gang. The Luolin royal family was not afraid of the second level of the longevity realm. Even if it was someone at the peak of the genuine qi realm, the Luolin royal family could fight against him with the help of the ancestors and third-level magic weapons. However, a person at the third level of the longevity realm, refining qi into gang, she was already qualified to suppress the Luolin royal family. In particular, Naylan Fei was so young and had unlimited potential. The people of the Luolin royal family must have known the news, so it was reasonable for them to have such an attitude. Xinghui didn't want to act with the help of others, especially Naylan Fei. His goal was to shatter the vacuum as soon as possible, find the cave residence of the true god, Jun, and then return to the earth to meet Jiang Ningji to fulfill his original promise. Therefore, he didn't want to have too much involvement with Nalan Fei and the Zhou family. But now it was impossible not to be involved. At least, he had to owe her a favor for the Luolin royal family. Since he had decided to owe her a favor, then Tsinghui looked at Luo Tunying coldly and decided his life and death with one sentence. Monarch Luo, your son is too arrogant and domineering. He really needs to be disciplined. He has today's power because he is a prince. Since you have broken his legs, then abolish his cultivation, deprive him of his identity as a prince, remove his royal ancestral records, and demote him to a commoner as punishment. Chapter 51. Commoner. Deprive him of his identity? At this moment, Luo Tunying couldn't help but shout in horror. No, no, don't deprive me of my identity. Prince Tsinghui, I was wrong. Please forgive me. From now on, I will never dare to disrespect you. Prince Tsinghui, please don't deprive me of my identity. Tsinghui didn't say anything else. Seeing that Tsinghui had spoken, Luo Jiuzhou naturally wouldn't hesitate. Once Tsinghui was dissatisfied, the ancestors would also be dissatisfied. If the ancestors were dissatisfied, he would no longer be able to sit on the throne. He immediately ordered without hesitation. Well, as Prince Tsinghui said, from now on, deprive the third Prince Luo Tunying of his identity as a prince, remove his ancestral record from the imperial clan court, and demote him to a commoner. No, no. Luo Tianning let out a shrill scream. He had offended countless people in his life. His cultivation was abolished, and he was reduced to a mortal. His legs were broken, and he no longer had the identity of a prince. His future was already foreseeable. This was crueler than killing him. This scene fell into the eyes of Luo Tiancheng, Luo Jianglu, Luo Hunyuan, Princess Qingyuan, and the others. They all widened their eyes in disbelief. His Majesty Luo Jiuzhou. Did he really deprive Luo Tunying of his identity and remove his ancestral records, as Tsinghui said? What kind of background did he have? When they thought up to there, the gazes of the princes and their guests towards Qing Su were immediately filled with reverence. Well, this matter is over. I'm in a hurry, so I'll take my leave first. Tsinghui said, Prince Tsinghui, it's late today. Why don't you take a rest in the imperial city and treat it as an apology for offending you before? No, that's all. I'll have someone escort Prince Tsinghui all the way, in case there are any unscrupulous people plotting against you. No need. Tsinghui finished and cupped his hands to Luo Jiuzhou goodbye. After that, he rode his horse and left. Prince Tsinghui, have a safe journey. If you have time, please come to the imperial city of Luolin. Luo Jiuzhou shouted loudly, and his tones sounded so sincere. This scene fell into the eyes of Luo Tiancheng, Luo Jianglu, Luo Hunyuan, and the others. They secretly made up their minds that if they had a chance in the future, they must find ways to befriend Tsinghui. For no other reason than their father's attitude towards Cho Tsinghui. Qing Su spurred his horse away, gradually going further and further away. Due to Luo Jiuzhou's obstruction, some forces that were ready to attack Tsinghui suddenly stopped. They were ignorant and fearless of Tsinghui's background, but they were extremely afraid of the imperial family of Luolin. Besides, even the imperial family of Luolin gave up stopping Tsinghui for some reason. Before they really figured out what happened, they dared not act rashly. Under these circumstances, the green ruins peacefully broke away from the boundaries of the Lorraine royal capital. 300 miles away from the imperial city of Luolin, Tsinghui detoured around the Yunhuang mountain range and went straight to the deep mountains and forests. If he wanted to self-awaken, in addition to constantly improving his sword intent, he could only suppress the limits of his body. Only in this way could he take the crucial step. The biggest difference between the life of this world and the life of our Earth is that there are various kinds of bloodlines hidden in their bodies. The characteristic of humans being the spirit of all things has been demonstrated incisively and vividly in this world. Even the top mythological beast bloodline in the world has to show its human form in the end. It can be inferred that the most powerful bloodline in the world is not the mythological beast, but the human itself. However, the human's bloodline level is limited here. There are no characteristics on the surface. Without the help of external forces, the weakest ferocious beast can kill a human. Xing Hui pondered the principle of self-awakening in his mind. Born in the world of Earth, he had a characteristic of pursuing reason and evidence in his thinking. Coupled with his enhanced perception at the fourth level, he quickly captured the biggest characteristic of human, or bloodline talent: compatibility. The human bloodline could be compatible with all bloodlines in the world. And the basis for all of this was the word spirit, the spirit of all living things. Or in other words, soul. No wonder self-awakened people can be compatible with other bloodlines and cultivate two bloodlines at the same time. It's because their souls are far stronger than ordinary people. Supreme Nine Sword was able to achieve self-awakening because he used the sword intent of the Tai One sword to sharpen his own soul. When the pressure on the soul reaches the limit, it will undergo a transformation and awaken. After the spiritual awakening, it will affect the physical body and complete self-awakening. After a summary, Xing Hui suddenly understood the direction of self-awakening. A spiritual transformation. The higher the upper limit of the spiritual power, the better the transformation effect, and the better the talent from self-awakening. A spiritual transformation. The soul appears as the spirit in the Sun of Chaos interface, but it seems to be to maintain the uniformity of the interface. The spirit value is different from attack, defense, and speed. If these three attributes are higher by 1 point at the same time, there will be an advantage. If it is higher by 2 points, the advantage will turn into an obvious advantage, and when it is higher by 3 points, it will be a crushing advantage. In other words, under normal circumstances, if there is a 9-point difference in attributes, the outcome of the battle cannot be reversed by luck, battle intent, and fighting spirit. However, if one does not comprehend sword intent, a 10-point difference in the spirit attribute will hardly have any effect. With my level 34 spiritual power, the opponent's spirit level must be above level 60 to make my soul overload and undergo a transformation. Level 60 corresponded to the almighty of the 6th level of the longevity stage and the prominent divine stage. The 6th level of the longevity stage was the level of the masters of the 10 great sacred lands. Did he really have to enter the Hunyuan heaven sect? Thinking of this, Xing Hui frowned. It was troublesome to have a high spirit level. At that moment, the sound of galloping horses came from ahead. There was also a faint shout. "Over here! Don't let them escape. Someone dares to chase after me." Xing Hui's expression turned cold. However, a new voice soon sounded. Although he has a blood transformation realm cultivation, he has lost an arm and lost more than half of his strength. In addition, he was severely injured by the captain and is on the verge of death. He's no longer worth mentioning. Speed up the search. Since young Master Longquan has offered a price, we can only capture that woman and sell her to young Master Longquan. Only then can we recoup our huge loss of millions of gold. Yes, a response sounded. From the sound of it, there were no less than 100 people. All of them were full of energy. They were clearly elites at the marrow cleansing realm or even the viscera refining realm. Xing Hui could not be bothered with them. But at that moment, 2 figures covered in blood suddenly rushed out from the grass in front of him. They looked extremely wretched. These 2 people were clearly in a panic from being chased by those people and did not notice Xing Hui walking on a mountain path. When they saw Xing Hui, they could not help but be stunned. Immediately after, the 2 people's faces revealed a look of horror. "It's you?" At that moment, Xing Hui recognized the 2 people. They were the children of the Lorraine Kingdom's Beast Hunter Union's president, Hunyuan, Wu Ju, and Wu Yuyao. However, The situation of the two presidents' children was very bad. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.